right. So is everybody ready? Lovely edition. Yes, that's right. A lovely, lovely edition of It's that triple T with a big old bad B. I'm talking about To the Turnbuckle. And with me, as always, are my two favorite friends, my two favorite people. One of them, I believe, is in mourning because, well, let's just say last Saturday didn't go his way. The other, well, he's a Dolphins fan, so he's doing okay. I mean, he's even if he's struggling some with Saturday, there's the Lord giveth on Sunday with Tua, no doubt about it. So let's get right into it, boys. Hot Wheels, Travis Gnarly Napper, how are you? How you holding up? I know that you are a Buckeye bro several days of the week, and it's been a tough time for you. So how you holding up? Talk to me.
I'm holding up pretty well. I know that probably would shock ticking off a couple of my good buddies, my good bros, but at the moment I'm doing pretty well. Last night, cured issues after a very heart-wrenching, heart-stopping. I don't know where the term is, but a W is a W. W is a W last night, and Steelers get it done for me. In terms of football, I'm right up there. I'm right up there. I'm doing okay. And Ohio State didn't go the way they thought, but I thought it was a better game last year than last year. And overall, I can't ask for much better than that. I know we'll definitely get into a lot of that on Thursday. I'll probably give a couple people some aneurysms, maybe some heart attacks. So I'm doing swimmingly because I'm probably going to cause some chaos, and I'm all for it.
Well, look, we are chaos goblins, you and I. I've rubbed off on you on that way. You and I got another big car ride coming up here in a few weeks where God knows what might be said. Mr. McCarthy, the man who has taken over the role of producer since moving to the manor of the McCarthyisms. How are you? Did you watch the game Saturday? How was your Thanksgiving? Just get all into it there.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm all right. It did Saturday kind of suck, but what are you going to do? I mean, we've had this conversation on this show before. It doesn't affect me like it used to when I was younger. I mean, and I get being like down and upset because the Buckeyes lost. I mean, that was a big game. But when I brought this up last time, like ruining people's whole weekends and Buckeye fans become awful tippers after a Buckeye loss and stuff like that stuff's unacceptable. If you want to be sad and upset that the Buckeyes lost, that's cool. It is what it is. But you can't really use that as an excuse to treat people like shit. But anyway, other than the Buckeyes losing, my weekend was great, man. I had 2 Thanksgivings, actually, because I made one Saturday. Made a turkey, some fantastic peanut butter pie. I'll have to make it for you guys one of these days because it was so good, man. It was good as hell.
We ought to have a Wrestle Kingdom party and you make us some peanut butter pie.
Deal. It sounds like a deal. I got most of Christmas decorations up, so that's nice. Got the studio looking
same here.
Better.
That was the second half of my party. Was getting all the Christmas decorations.
So how's Buster? You know, it's been a while since I've seen the fellow.
He's good. He's sleeping. Jason is hanging out with his friends after school today, so he's just kind of hanging out. And
I almost drove up there just to say hi.
He could have used the company.
I miss Buster as well. Hopefully we'll be back live and in studio next Tuesday. That is always the hope and goal. My brother got sick again, boys. I don't know what's going on. That's like twice in 3 weeks. This is ridiculous. And then I know that Napper, you offered to give me a ride, but I was like, well, if you got stops on the way, I don't want to. I don't know if you're gonna, do something illegal or whatever it might be. So, I don't want to be in the way of that or be a potential witness. So, all right. Well, before we get into war games, because rest assured, Buckle Brigade, we're going to talk about it. I got to ask one thing. How was your Thanksgiving? And I was going to ask this last week, but then I forget what fell through last week that we didn't do the show. But what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? If maybe it's several, maybe it's one. McCarthy, you talked about cooking Thanksgiving and having another. So what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish or tradition or what have you? Just dig at the plate there. Great talk.
Really great talk.
Yeah. All right.
Really great talk.
Well, McCarthy, I guess we'll go back to you unless you died.
I'm going to go with apple pie with a whole lot of cinnamon crumbles.
Were you thinking is that what was going on there?
That is what was going on. I like a lot of things.
We can't see you, so we don't know that.
I forgot.
So we don't know
sorry.
that.
I mean, I was sitting there like, well, maybe he's killed over.
But I mean, aside from the peanut butter or from the apple pie with the cinnamon crumbles on top, and I mean a lot of them, you can't go wrong with mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy, and turkey all mixed together on one plate either. So. It's a hard decision when it comes to what's my favorite Thanksgiving thing.
See, see, no doubt about it for me. I'm a stuffing guy. I mean, I am a stuffing guy. I con my mother into making it a couple times a year because I'm that big on it. Obviously she'll make it again for Christmas, and then I usually will talk her into one more time before the winter's over. Because you don't really have stuffing in the summertime. I'm sorry, you just don't. That's not that feels odd. So I'm a stuffing guy. Obviously, love mashed potatoes and give me all the gravy. Frankly, it's a dream of mine that we someday open a gravy restaurant, three of us, and just all different sorts. I mean, just all different sorts. So. Of course, that means, Mr. Napper, I know you also know your way around a plate. What is your favorite Thanksgiving dish or tradition or the whole nine there? Go at it.
Dish. Stuffing's definitely up there. Up there.
Golly, is it?
I'm also gonna go with sweet potato casserole, but it has to have the brown sugar. Doesn't have brown sugar. With the brown sugar, it's okay. But with the brown sugar, also mac and cheese. Like it's also mac and cheese is kind of. Feel like mac and cheese is kind of slowly slid up the ranks as a common Thanksgiving dish. Especially when you make breadcrumbs on top of that, and crust on top.
They're kind of the Cincinnati and Boise State of Thanksgiving. They've slowly built good programs over the years, and all of a sudden, here we are talking about them in the, in the top 5 conversation. God, mac and cheese is so good. You talk about, look, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and if you don't want to believe me, look at mac and cheese. You can have several different types of mac and cheese. And it is just delicious. So dude, I don't care.
I'll be honest. The best mac and cheese I may have ever had was, dude, at Cedar Point, man. They had this whole restaurant there that was just mac and cheese, and you could get brisket or pork and bacon, hot dogs, anything you could, not anything you could imagine, but good proteins that mix well with mac and cheese. It was fantastic. I know you guys probably don't do the amusement park thing. But I'm just saying.
Why wouldn't we?
What's that supposed to mean?
I wasn't being derogatory. I'm just
like, what do you mean to people?
I'm not being derogatory. I'm just saying I'm telling you about a mac and cheese place that you probably will never have.
Well, all right. Disabilities aside for a second, when I think mac and cheese, I don't go, boy, I better go all the way up to the Cedar Point and get me some mac and cheese.
Right.
You know, I'm thinking there's some restaurant I haven't really been to that might be in the area. Maybe it's in the area of Lancaster and we can hit it up sometime. And instead, you're like, you know who's got the best mac and cheese? Cedar Point.
Disrespect.
Our non-handy capable people might be interested in it. I mean, if you're already going there, you got to try the mac and cheese place.
I'm going to rock the backwards look with you for half a second.
I'm ready to fight. That's why I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight now. It's fight night now. I
can't believe that right there. He said Cedar Point mac and cheese.
I mean, I'm just being honest.
I'll tell you who doesn't have good mac and cheese. O'Charlie's. Don't get their mac and cheese. You can tell it's relied heavily on microwaves. And I know my way around a microwave with mac and cheese. I am not a believer in O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's uses a microwave for the mac and cheese. I would have to be back there and see it myself to believe otherwise. They could tell me all they want to, and I would be, nope, fake news. Sorry, that can't be true unless I saw it myself, and even then I'd wonder because you never know if you might hallucinate.
Restaurant that has good mac and cheese.
I've always thought the Cracker Barrel has some solid mac and cheese.
That's one.
Barrel and Boar has good mac and cheese, and they have locations like all over the place.
You know,
I think Rusty Bucket has mac and cheese. I think it was pretty good.
Frankly, no one's going to think of them for mac and cheese, but I'm here to tell you. And it isn't quite as out there as Cedar Point, but KFC's got some good mac and cheese. Here to tell you. All right. So we've
Arby's does too. Arby's does too.
Arby's has mac and cheese?
It's weird. It's like a seasonal thing. It's weird. It's like a seasonal thing with them. I don't understand. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's white cheddar mac and cheese. It's pretty good.
The first day of it last year, I might have went and got 2 orders.
It's really creamy. It's really creamy. It's so good.
God help me. Burger King also relies heavily on microwaves, and I'm disappointed by that. You can't tell me that bun's not microwaved. Sadness. Anywho.
Sadness.
All right. I suppose we should talk some wrestling.
Yeah.
I guess that is why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah. I suppose so.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about Survivor Series War Games.
War Games! War Games!
William Regal to shout it to us this year how unfortunate that is. But we did have Ozzy Osbourne in the opening package. Let's start there. It's not on the rundown, but I like calling audibles. What'd you think of Ozzy Osbourne in that opening package, boys? I thought that was so badass. I was like,
that's fantastic. I thought it was fantastic.
You know, have him lip syncing along to War Pigs there from, I believe, 1970. That's when that song came out.
Yeah.
Just now that's something that Triple H is great at. That's right, a rare praise from Triple H from me is that he's much more on the on top of, you know, what could be cool and not who's popular today, pal. Yeah, well, book them. You know, maybe and so that's the one. Like, I expect the silly musical performances at WrestleMania to get a little better. I'm already hearing that Code Orange. I've already read where Code Orange might do Bray Wyatt this year at WrestleMania. That would be pretty sweet.
That would be.
Matter of fact, it would be diabetic even.
Yeah.
So that's
sounded like they tried to get Ozzy to perform. At Survivor Series.
And it just didn't line up logistically. I think, of course, Ozzy needs a lot of. well, I should say a lot, but definitely some assistance and things have got to go well these days as he's battling some health issues. Parkinson's. Don't get me wrong, he's not on his deathbed, but certainly having some health issues.
He's got Parkinson's.
McCarthy.
I didn't know that.
He's got
Parkinson's. I didn't know that.
And so it affects his balance and things. So McCarthy, what'd you think of that opening with Ozzy Osbourne? Lip syncing the old Black Sabbath classic War Pigs, and of course mashed up with all the WWE footage. I thought it was one of the best video packages they've done in years. And don't get me wrong, the video packages are always great, but this one is going to stand out, I think, for quite some time.
Oh, dude, it is awesome, man. I mean, it's like you said, their production side is almost second to none. I mean, I think only maybe Disney, I can say off the top of my head, has a better production value than the WWE does. And I think it was so...
And us.
And us. Yeah, we have all the state-of-the-art technology right here at Snapmare.
The budget is just incredible.
But it will be remembered fondly, and it fit right in, which they're always good at. And it fits Vince's mold of what's popular right now because Ozzy did just release a record a couple months ago. But it's more of a vaster reaching on, like, because we've talked about this before, rock and roll and wrestling do overlap a lot. The fans overlap a lot. And so, you're going to reach a lot of people, even if they don't listen to rock anymore, but in the 70s they did, or early on when they were growing up and their parents listened to it. That's going to bring some nostalgia too. So I think it was a very smart tactic to do that. And it was too bad that Ozzy couldn't be there, though, because it's weird that his voice sounds exactly the same. Like, it would have been cool if he could have performed that live, because his voice hasn't changed in, like, when he sings, it hasn't changed in, like, 40 years. It's wild.
Sharon.
God bless that woman for tolerating that guy. Well, she's a saint. In that regard, she is, people. I don't care what she said on the talk. I thought it was really cool. It just sets the scene for like I said, the video packages have always been great, but here lately, in the Vince years, especially with like performances and tie-ins, it's always some sort of hip hop thing. And I'm not knocking hip hop. I listen to quite a bit of it, but it's like when I look at the vast majority of a wrestling audience, I don't think hip hop is what I'd associate with them. I would associate rock and roll, heavy metal, much more than the vast majority of wrestling fans in terms of hip hop. And that's kind of what it's been a lot lately. And I don't know why that is. Not knocking it, but I just think this is something that, like you said, McCarthy can reach a much more vast audience. I know that Ozzy's people even posted on Ozzy's YouTube. So that's good. That's good exposure right there. That's fantastic exposure because, Ozzy Osbourne fans are going to click on that and go, all right, I got to at least check this out. And maybe they see it and go, well, let me check out this War Games thing. Or maybe they remember it from the Dusty Rhodes days and go back and look at the show. So because you're always trying to grow that audience, or really in WWE's case especially, you're trying to regain that audience because you've had the biggest audience in the world, and you still do. But I'm saying the numbers just don't compare to what they used to be at all. All right, let's get into War Games. Of course, the Bloodline defeated Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. I thought what stuck out most to me from this is the incredible storytelling from KO and Sami Zayn. If you're wondering, folks, this episode is titled Loyal to a Fault. And I think that fits both what's going on in WWE and AEW programming with Regal and now Sami Zayn and KO. So Loyal to a Fault is this episode title. I'll kick it off here, opening up the War Games thoughts. Overall, in terms of big spots, shock moments, I was disappointed, but it was easily made up for by the story that was told. You could see in many ways that Sami Zayn was going to do everything he could to prove his loyalty to the Bloodline, but there was still that hint of trepidation, almost like Shawn Michaels and Triple H and The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels was always going to side with Triple H, but because of his respect for The Undertaker, he did struggle with it. and I thought that was pretty similar. Obviously, there was callbacks to Battleground 2016 that was pretty damn cool. So yeah, I thought in terms of like high spots and big moments and whoa, who saw that coming? Didn't necessarily bring it there, but the story that was told, this was arguably. Matter of fact, I'll say this: this was my favorite Roman Reigns match during this run that didn't have Brock Lesnar in it. And you know, I'm very critical of him during this run as far as I just want it to end for the love of God. I mean, it's sickening to me, but this was an incredible story. Because again, Sami Zayn obviously committed to the bloodline, but at the same time, still a hint of trepidation and being cautious because you've known Kevin Owens for 20 years. What a story. Hot Wheels, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on the main event of the show? Like I said, I thought incredible story. Didn't have as many high spots and chaos as I thought, tables and I thought we were going to kind of borderline kill each other there. And that did not take place, but I thought the story more than made up for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. This match definitely was more story driven than it was actually match driven. My only it's not even a gripe, but I wish that they could have done more. And honestly, with the Brutes, and honestly, even just the Usos, and honestly, even Roman a little bit. Because it kind of felt like, especially in the case of McIntyre and the Brutes, kind of felt like it made them an afterthought just because the story was Kevin Owens. Majority of this match, it was a great and nothing wrong with that. It was a great story. They played it perfectly. They told it very, very well, to damn near perfection, honestly. But like you said, there was not a lot. Like you said, there was not a lot of guys in the ring. With those guys in the ring, I felt like was a little bit of a misstep. It took nothing away from it. If I had to do it over again, I would maybe give those guys at least some moments to shine that they fully got. That I don't think that they fully got. Because they are part of the match too. As much as that story is the story, and that's your end goal is to get that story over, which you did a masterful job. Everybody else had to play their part. And not that they didn't, but they could have done a better job. I think that they could have done a better job of giving those guys a little bit more of a spotlight. But other than that, I loved it. Every little bit. Roman played a great part in this towards the end. Sammy played obviously his incredible part that he's continued to do. I think I've heard so many people say Sami Zayn is the MVP right now in WWE, and I can't disagree. He has completely stepped up his game, and KO had reference to him in his promo last night on Raw. He's glad that now everybody's starting to get to see the guy that everybody knows Sami Zayn is. Gave him really the chance. But they never gave him really the chance to show it. Now he's getting the chance to show it, and he's knocking it out of the freaking ballpark. Props to Sammy. Props to Sammy. Props to I like the callback Kevin Owens. I like the callback from Battleground. That was pretty cool. I kind of forgotten about that, but I saw videos comparing it and bringing up the callback keeps him up. Battleground where he keeps him up. That was pretty awesome. Kicking him. I love the symmetry there. That was pretty awesome. It honestly made me appreciate the match even more. It honestly made me appreciate the match even more.
Completely
all around good stuff.
McCarthy, before I get your thoughts, I got to touch on what I just did send you guys. It isn't concerning WWE, but it is concerning a member of our ASWA family. I do want to send out our thoughts and prayers to Jimmy Lee, who just got diagnosed with some tough health news. He's tough as they come, and so our thoughts and prayers go out to him. I sent it to you guys on Facebook if you want to take a look at it. But I didn't feel right continuing this show without touching on that. I just saw it That's heartbreaking. It's upsetting. That's scary, is what that is. So our thoughts and our prayers and our good vibes go out to him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's not
wow.
Good. It's not. I sent that to you,
it's not.
McCarthy, if you want to take a look.
No, I just read it, man. Damn.
Hey man, if there's anybody that can kick
C-word's
that
ass, it's Jimmy fucking Lee.
damn C-word's
I'm
ass,
sorry
it's
for
Jimmy
cursing,
fucking
but
Lee.
it's
And
Jimmy
I'm sorry for
fucking Lee.
cursing, but
Ain't no doubt
it's
about it.
Jimmy fucking Lee.
So
Nobody more stubborn. Let's put it that way.
Nobody more stubborn.
Put it that way.
that is true. That is true.
And I mean that with all the respect and love.
And I mean that with all the respect and love and
If he hears this, nothing but love and respect, man. That's just awful. McCarthy, you want to touch on that before we go back to War Games? I just didn't feel right continuing the show without touching on this.
No, man, that was way more important than us just chit-chatting about what we thought about a match, man. You got this, Jimmy. It's going to be a tough fight, always is in these situations, but he's got this, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My grandfather had colon cancer, and they caught it in time. So, and that was several years ago. That's been at least 20. Of course, he passed away a few years ago at 90 from COVID-related pneumonia, but obviously it wasn't related to anything to do with that dreaded C word. So, our thoughts and our prayers go out to him. Of course, got the big show coming up on December 10th. Not sure how that affects this. That's just troublesome because, I don't know what he would be comfortable everybody knowing, but I'll just, he is literally the heart and soul of the ASWA. There is no ASWA without him, and he's given us all a great opportunity to chase our dream of being in this business. Obviously, McCarthy, you've been in and out of it before Napper and I, but especially for Napper and I, he gave us our first shot at it, and it's been a pleasure and an honor, and we're looking forward to many more. But yeah, definitely, that's just heartbreaking. You'll have to excuse me for being a little lost for words here, folks, because we just saw this. I mean, you talk about calling it on the fly. Here we are, boys. But our thoughts and prayers and the best of good vibes and positive energy going to him right now. I know he'll kick this thing to ass. Absolutely, because let me tell you something. That dreaded disease, it's in for a nightmare, people. He's an animal out there. Damn. I mean, he just came back too. I mean, we were getting ready to roll. We were getting ready to roll. Again, not to get too much behind the curtain, folks, but the ASWA has a lot coming up that you're going to want to see. And he was going to be a big part of that. And hopefully he still is. I have no idea. I'm not going to speak for him on what this means for anything. But, man. All right. Any final words on that before we try to go back to goofing off about WWE?
I got nothing.
How about you, McCarthy? Anything?
I got nothing else to say, man. We'll have to see where this takes us. He'll be as involved as he can, and I mean, all we can do is offer our support, and anything else we can do on our end as he progresses with this fight, man, is I think is what we should do. He's and the type of person Jimmy is that I don't think there will be any shortage of people that are going to try to take a little bit off of his plate during this. Not as far as the next show, but as we go into 2023 and Jimmy starts to know more, he's got enough people around him to where things will facilitate whether he's able to make it or not. And hopefully they caught it early.
Amen to that, brother. All right. Well, we'll we'll try to let's brighten this thing back up. But yeah, definitely tough news to come across during this show, and definitely lots of prayers and good vibes sent his way. All right, so let's go ahead and talk more about War Games. We didn't get your thoughts on the main event, Mr. McCarthy. Let's talk about it. Napper and I talked about the story. What were your thoughts on it? Did you expect more in-ring chaos? You have the floor.
I don't think I really expected more chaos per se. There weren't a lot of high spots or crazy table spots or anything. I think they went through a table, but it was nothing crazy, but it fits. Jimmy and Jay fly around and Sammy can fly around, but when you break it down, Roman doesn't, Drew doesn't, Sheamus doesn't, Rich Holland doesn't. It's a small amount of people that would take those risks that are involved in that match. So I think it was smart to, I don't want to say push people by the wayside storytelling wise. I think there could have been done more. Because with the women's match, there's a lot more storylines that developed from War Games than when the men's did. We have the same thing kind of going. It's more intensified now a little bit with Sammy and KO and Roman. There's movement with the bloodline with Jay accepting Sami Zayn finally. But as far as intertwining branches in little small things like the women's War Games, it really didn't do that. So I think that could have been a missed opportunity. But at the same time, could they have added to that and tell the story they wanted to tell? And I'd rather take what we got instead of wish for a few more branches, because it's got to be right up there with the storytelling he was doing with Jay at the beginning of this run. The emotion and everything else, and it involved different guys. And I think I'm going to predict that this is all a ploy by Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to destroy the bloodline from the inside, and Sami Zayn, not Cody Rhodes, is going to be the man to beat Roman Reigns for the championship. Because, yes, Cody Rhodes by far will win that championship in WWE. He's earned it. Just that little bit of time that he was there, did that Hell in a Cell hurt, he's earned a chance to run with the title in WWE. But I think Sami Zayn has earned it more. He's taken nonsense and made it can't miss television. I mean, from his conspiracy theories to what he's doing now, you really want to know what's Sammy going to do. What's he doing? What's he going to say? How's he going to act? And it's just Sammy being Sammy, just turned up to 11. And Kevin Owens did say it best last night. Everyone finally gets to see it. We've always seen it. But now in the main event picture and in main event storylines that more people pay attention to, the wider audience that maybe didn't know the national treasure that is Sami Zayn was around or as good as he was, now they know.
Look, nothing you said there I can disagree with, except Sami Zayn being the one to take this title. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Does he deserve it? Absolutely. Does he deserve it more than Cody Rhodes? I don't know. I don't know. Napper, how would you feel about that? Sami Zayn is somehow the person to dethrone Roman Reigns. I'm really conflicted. You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
I'm sorry, I forgot I muted it because I was typing. Sorry, I forgot I muted it because I was typing.
I did the same thing.
I'm conflicted with you. I'm conflicted with you.
If you'd asked me 2 months ago,
if you'd asked me 2 months ago,
no,
I probably would have said,
I love the guy, but I'm not there yet.
I love the guy, but I'm not there yet. Only because
he was kind of popular.
Yeah, he was
at that point.
kind of popular. Really, still at that point, but it just didn't make any sense. But it just didn't make any sense. But the more this story has played out, it would be a good idea. I wouldn't hate the idea. I think it would be a good idea. They haven't really faced off that much. My knowledge, they haven't really faced off that much since this title reign. So for Sami Zayn to totally unbelievable for Sami Zayn to sneak one on him. And I think with the whole sneaking up, and depending on how this plays out, maybe one by one, if Kevin Owens is involved, and maybe one by one they pick apart the bloodline, and Sami Zayn is able to get to Roman and being involved somehow, beat him without the bloodline being involved somehow. There are ways you can. I think that makes it a believable story. There are ways to write this story to make wins the title, and I would love that. Sami Zayn wins the title, and I would love that. I do think maybe that. I do think maybe that. I do think it is going to be Cody Rhodes probably in the long run. I do think it is going to be Cody Rhodes probably in the long run. I would not hate that idea at all. I would not hate that idea at all. I just want to see how that story plays out. The way that they have taken care of this story piece by piece, and not even just piece by piece, and not even just production. The writers and backstage production, and Sami Zayn and the rest of the bloodline taking care of this in their part, and done it so well. Taken care of and done it so well. They could find. I would have full confidence to be a believable contender. Some way to get Sami Zayn to be a believable contender and Roman Reigns. Upset win over Roman Reigns.
Well, you've got me brainstorming here, McCarthy. Sami Zayn is potentially the guy that ends this historic run and painful run for those of us that aren't Roman fans, and this jovial run for all of you that are Roman fans. I know that I am in the great minority there. Everyone is we the ones, and I'm like, God, I can't wait for the twos. Can't wait for the twos.
And I just say that, like, especially after last night's promo, like, I don't want to fight you anymore. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Like, nah, man. This is just a nice little ploy. This way they don't have to fight each other. Sometimes you got to take one for the team, which KO did when Sammy low blowed him. But, like, because if you really think about it, this could be all set up. Because Sammy and Kevin Owens are going to have that type of conversation in the hallway. Like, come on, man. They've known each other for like 20 years. They call each other, text each other these conversations. KO doesn't tell Sami Zayn they're going to turn on you first in the freaking hallway. Like, come on. And I think and switching it to Sammy that way, storyline-wise, kind of get the bloodline out of the way. All of a sudden, Sami Zayn miraculously earns a title shot or earns one straight up or however you want to do it. And now you have storytelling driving everything.
I have to tell you, it's kind of like Cena in the Nexus. It's kind of like Cena in the Nexus. Cena was ever going to get to the Nexus. You never thought Cena was ever going to get to the Nexus because because of the Nexus and how powerful they were as a collective group. You'd never think same concept. The Austin Theory thing kind of backs that up. Not even wanting to go after. You have people not even wanting to go after Roman Reigns because of the bloodline part of it. You take apart that part of it, he's just a vulnerable man. The opportunity's there. The opportunity's there. The one thing with the promo that did kind of interest me too is the fact that they threw in that they didn't want to ever tag together. I felt like that was a slight ploy too. Why would you bring that up? Why would you bring that up?
And you can even go full circle with this crap. And this crap that I love that is professional wrestling. It was Sami Zayn.
That's crap.
Sami Zayn as the undisputed champion. As seeing as how his best friend Kevin Owens helped him earn not only opportunity but the titles. He gives Kevin Owens a title shot for one of them. And we redo the finger poke of doom, but this time with the two best national treasures in the WWE, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and it actually works because it's who did it. And now we have the title split No more nonsense. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn never have to wrestle for the title or tag together again because they're on different shows, and they're the champions. It's going to be great. Oh, Canada. That's how that goes, right?
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, that's how that
goes.
goes.
You're telling me you managed to take a Hulk Hogan shot in the middle of all that. That's well done. that's really well done. That is really, I have to. I couldn't disagree with you more, but I gotta respect your game. Props to you.
It might be fun.
I hate you, but props to you. I can't wait for Roman to lose these titles, and forget about my fandom. Here's why. Like we all know how I feel. But this has been the first time I'm interested in Roman Reigns in a long time because it's kind of like, I know we all know how it works now. It didn't add anything, but it's kind of like Goldberg after the streak, right? Or Asuka after the streak. What do you do with him now? Everything about the bloodline of Roman Reigns is we're going to keep these belts. What happens when you don't have the belts? Everything about Goldberg was the streak. This is going to go on forever. What happens when you don't have the streak? Asuka, kind of the same thing. And so I'm very interested from a storyline perspective to see what Triple H and Stephanie can do there to not, he won't have the same momentum because he will have lost the titles, but where do you go storyline wise with Roman Reigns losing the belts? And let's spitball on that for just a second, and then we'll move on. McCarthy, you're spitballing great creative ideas because I know you've got Triple H on speed dial because you think the right guy's running the company now. Unfortunately, his friend Triple H, that whole thing there.
What'd you say?
His friend Triple H.
I played it just so you're aware.
Yeah. We heard.
Yeah,
we heard.
Oh.
So spitball it for me, McCarthy. What do you do with Roman Reigns, whether it's Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Brock Lesnar, Bo Dallas? I don't care who it is. What do you do after Roman loses these titles with Roman Reigns, no matter who it is to?
First, I think you take him off TV for a minute, whether that be...
Your audio is real quiet, buddy.
Oh, God bless it. Okay, is that better? My bad.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I think you take him off TV, either via, Braun Strowman or Omos or somebody. I think, actually, Omos probably, because Omos could really use that. I can't deny that he's getting better, and I think the Braun Strowman mini feud helped him a lot because he got to work with someone just as big as him, and you learn so much more during a match than you do watching tape or working out in the ring at the Performance Center or what have you. The best learning is right there in the ring, which is rough. I mean, but it's the best way to learn, especially when you're that big, because there's not that much you can do. So you got to learn how to use your weight properly. But I think that would be a big deal for Omos. I don't know how you turn that around, where Omos and Roman are at each other's heads, or it's just an idea that Omos is like, you know what? I'm going to make a name for myself now. And then he has to start at the bottom again. I think there is a redemption story here in the future at some point for Roman Reigns, because now that he's been accepted as a heel, when he eventually turns face again, it's not going to feel forced. So people are going to cheer him as a face, but he's going to have to lose the titles, disappear for a minute, start at the bottom, work his way up, have those losses that make it feel like he's never going to be at the top again, and then gradually get his way back up there. And I mean, this is years of storytelling down the road if you do it right.
So you're telling me that even as the majority shareholder, Vince is going to get his grand dream of Roman Reigns getting over as a face?
Yeah.
Life is cruel.
Dude, I mean, look, so you're going to hate me for this, but the closest example that I have is The Rock. Straight up. They tried to push him as a babyface, and he was hated for it. He joined the nation turning heel, and then he turned again by turning on Farouk. And as he progressed, it was too hard to boo The Rock. John Cena, very similar. There for a while, he was getting booed, by half the crowd because he's just doing what producers are telling him. People pay to see your 5 moves. Just do your 5 moves and get the hell out of there. 20 minutes, that's all you got. But when he got away from the main event picture, the loud IWC started to see a better body of work. And so he became beloved by damn near everybody because of it. I think I don't know if it's the mentality of the fans where it's like, you want me to cheer this person, so I'm not gonna, if they're not ready or if it doesn't fit. But this happens a lot where it's like, we don't trust you until you're a heel. We have to hate you before we love you. It's weird, but it happens a lot.
Well, I think you hit on a good thing with me and Roman Reigns. Part of my resistance towards Roman Reigns now is just because everybody likes him now. Why the hell do I want to be a part of what everybody else is doing? So I'm not going to acknowledge him ever, ever, ever in the history of the day, ever. They could have Hulk Hogan come out and cut a promo telling me I should acknowledge him, and I wouldn't do it. And hey, Raw 30's coming up in 6 weeks in next year, so it could happen. All right, let's move it along a little bit. The show kicked off with the women's War Game match. When it comes to the match itself, I thought this was the better match. Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka Medium, and of course, big time Becky Lynch defeated Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and everyone's favorite mommy, Rhea Ripley, to kick off the show. Thoughts on this match, Mr. Napper?
I definitely agreed that it was the better match. Couple moments that were a little awkward. They did have botches. It seemed like a couple botches. I think just because people have been in that type of environment. The women, although some of them have. Came from NXT, so they're used to it. I actually don't even know if there was anybody in that match. That maybe wasn't in War Games before, except maybe Bayley. But I think even if she was in War Games before, so maybe I'm wrong. But there were a couple moments where it did kind of feel kind of awkward. The moments between Nikki and Alexa with the handcuff. It seemed like too long of a time to get going. I don't know if she couldn't get it to where she was trying to get it on, or they were setting up for Alexa to take it and cuff Nikki, but it felt kind of awkward. There were a couple other spots where it was like, we all said this when we watched it. I thought Becky was about to turn on Bianca. I was totally convinced that was going to happen because she looked like she was about to maybe put her through the table. And I was like, okay, interesting. Turn coming here. Did not expect. This will be fun for everybody else. Not so much for Bianca, but. Overall, great match. I didn't story-wise, I didn't know if they told that great of a story, but I thought they did a great job of honestly getting over. There were a lot of good high spots. Again, there were some missteps, maybe a couple botches here and there, but overall, I was impressed with the match. Loved it. Enjoyed it. It was a great way to kick off the show.
I have to agree with you, Mr. McCarthy. Your thoughts on the women's War Games match?
Oh man, I thought that match was great. It was a perfect way to kick off the show. I kind of agree with that handcuff spot. I think it just took longer than they thought it would when they were talking about it, and it's like, damn it. this didn't work as well as we thought it was gonna. What are you gonna do?
Well, it reminds me of the match with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, where for whatever reason they just could not get the cuffs unlocked,
and it's
or in this case, locked.
You know, and it's like, for God's sake, he's lost the title. Screw it. We'll get back to him Monday.
Maybe they're shopping at the wrong props.
Apparently.
But I will say that I was a little nervous for Bailey there for a second. I think what was it, Bianca that gave her that power bomb that looked like it was about to be a Frankensteiner, but ended up being a power bomb, and Bailey hit with a thud instead of the normal like ring sound. It was like a thud.
Yeah, it might have been.
And she instantly grabbed her neck, and she was like chilling for a minute. So I was a little bit. She got up, and it looked like she was fine. I haven't seen any reports where she was hurt, but that made me a little bit nervous. But other than that, I thought the match was great. I mean, like Travis said, a few missteps, but in a match like that, kicking off the show, trying to do something different, I think it was perfect. I can't think of anything else that they could have done differently to have made it better.
You know, I've got to agree with you guys in terms of, I don't fault the missteps because War Games is an extremely new concept for the WWE. There's not much footage to go back and look on. Most people on the roster haven't been in one. Everyone that was in the old school ones are probably not with the company at this point. Like maybe Hayes was in one or two, but that's about it. You know, Flair's not currently with the company. We'll see what his status is. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But there's not a whole lot of history to go back and really touch on where, you know, Hell in a Cell matches, we do them all the time, once a year in the pay-per-view. And, you know, if a big match calls for it, steel cages, hey, that's another night on the town, whatever. But War Games is a different beast that we're not used to in WWE yet. So I don't fault anyone for having some issues. All right, next, let's talk about my favorite moment of the pay-per-view. I got to start it out by saying I was wrong. Austin Theory defeated Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley to win the United States title. Look, I, like most people, was reading Austin Theory's last rites a few weeks ago when he cashed in for the United States Championship, and then here's the kicker: he even lost that, and I was fuming. I mean, I was hot. I was hot. I was Twitter war hot. And I got to give it to you, Napper. I was wrong. Because I thought, man, he's so screwed. Man, Triple H doesn't see him in the same way Vince does at all. And maybe he doesn't, but if he doesn't, it's not as big of a difference as I thought. Where I thought, wow, Vince sees him as the next star of the company, and Triple H sees him as a nobody. I don't know if Triple H sees him as the next face of the company per se, like Vince did, but he obviously doesn't see him as a nobody. I was way wrong on that. So score one for you for telling everybody, especially me, because you know I'm passionate about Austin Theory as I will have a love for that man forever because he's Vince's last toy. He's Vince's last chosen favorite. So if he doesn't work out, it'll be like, it's all over now. You know, it'd be like Thanos. What did it cost? Everything.
What did it cost? Everything.
So like Austin Theory's not going to have a bigger fan in this planet than me. I think we can all agree with that because again, he's Vince's last handpicked chosen one, right? By the way, that's someday he's going to look back at that if Vince is never involved in the company again or wrestling period again, and he'll say, damn, I was Vince McMahon's last chosen guy. That's an odd piece of history to have tied to you forever. Anywho, that's a sidebar because we do that. So I got to give it to you, and because I got to give it to you, I got to let you start first and go ahead and take your victory lap. What'd you think? Austin Theory is your new United States champion. Try to take it easy on me. I tried to own it here, but yeah, I was wrong.
smells so good to be right. I'll take it easy. But you're right. I did. This is not the end of Austin Theory. This is not the end of Austin Theory. This is not his last ride. After the whole cash in. I wasn't convinced. I wasn't convinced. And especially after the week after when he cut that promo, and I know people still kind of pick that apart. Because there's only so much that they could have done and said promo-wise, and I'll be the first given what had happened. And I'll be the first to say, even though I was not convinced that he was dead to rights, I didn't particularly like the way they went about that thing either. Money in the Bank thing either. I don't think it was a bad decision. But the execution, especially because, as we alluded to, whenever we covered that part, cashing in on an open challenge. That was a mistake. But getting the briefcase off of Austin Theory, I think in the long run was a good idea. Keep in mind, lost the title before Triple H even took over. So losing the title was Vince's idea. He had the briefcase. Now, obviously, he had the briefcase. Soak in his despair. But I don't know if Austin's ready for that. Hunter thinks that Austin's ready for that, and I don't know if he was ready for that. And as we've alluded to with Roman Reigns thing, everything he said in that promo. I think the week after, whether people want to admit it or not, in storyline, I didn't see anything, no matter what, whether he had that briefcase or not, you can cash it in, no matter where you are, what happens, blah, 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 blah. In the time that it probably would have taken to tell that story, I don't think that they could have done it justice. Because they had just built too big of a monster in the Bloodline and Roman Reigns to make it work. To make it work. And this Sami Zayn thing has been building for almost just as long. Now you have to insert theory into that. I didn't think it was going to work as well as they probably would have payoff for Austin Theory. To give the good payoff for Austin Theory. Doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for him to still get to the world title. Royal Rumble is definitely out there. Royal Rumble is definitely out before then. Great. And it'll be a great time to get him to that world title where everybody thinks he belongs, and I won't disagree with that. But I think taking the United States title off him was probably a bad idea. I do like the fact that they gave it to Seth in the short term because I thought that was good business to give it prestige and build it back up to where it needed to be before Austin took it back. And now you're going to see those two possibly go at it and down no matter where they tear the house down no matter where they are. All in all, I thought the triple threat match was great. That was prop to me. That was match of the night, hands down. Whether it was gimmick match or not, but and it wasn't. But I think that match was definitely. In no small part. And everybody else. By the way, that finish, beautifully executed. Beautifully executed. Hits the spear and Theory just falls on him to get the pin. You couldn't have probably planned that any better even if you tried. That was beautifully executed. Very well done. I loved every bit of it.
How about you, Mr. McCarthy? Again, I just owned up to something I rarely do on this show and saying, boy, was I big league wrong. People like me that love Vince McMahon and are sad that he is no longer in the day-to-day picture, kind of cling to Austin Theory. I say that because I'm not the only one. If you check message boards and dirt sheet sites, there are people like me out there that go, well, Vince, that's Vince's last guy, so kind of we're going to cling to him, and cling to that era a little bit. Mr. McCarthy, thoughts on me being way wrong and Napper being way right? I can't believe it, but I'm damn happy about it.
I don't know. I'm not sure what's more weird. I think it's Travis being right. You're wrong all the time, so I'm used to that. But that match was great. It was exactly what you needed. We don't see enough of those, weird, fluky finishes that make sense in pro wrestling enough.
Very subtly. You said that I was wrong all the time, but the Napper's rarely right. So you act like you're the only one that gets things right on the show?
I didn't say that.
But that was heavily implied.
I said nothing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, I can always be the one that say what you want about the result of it, but it's always bragging rights that I was the first person you guys ever heard say Goldberg's going to beat Bray Wyatt. And you guys laughed me out of the studio for a few weeks. So I got one.
You got one. I mean, that's fair. One's enough.
Hey, one's all it takes. I believe it took one goal for Team USA today. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So one's all you need sometimes. Oh, suck it, Iran.
Yeah. No, but anyway, back to that, because Iran is terrible. The match, I thought the match, it's up there with match of the night. If you have to take away, sometimes you got to take the War Games out of it. Like, so
it's match of no. I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry, but it's match of the night. Period.
That's what I was saying. But you almost can't. The War Games is the best multi-person match we've had at Survivor Series in a long time. A long time. So you have to sometimes judge things slightly differently depending on the context and the stipulations. And I'm really interested to see where this goes with Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and Seth Rollins. And Bobby Lashley has Brock Lesnar to worry about too. So is he even going to be able to truly focus on the United States Championship? Even though Brock's not around all that much, they're still feuding. They still have issues. And Brock just kind of shows up whenever.
And, I know we got a little while, but the next premium live event is the Royal Rumble, and obviously Brock Lesnar's going to work that. Now, could he be in the Rumble? Yes. But he very well might also be on the card, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all ties in. Any other thoughts before we move on to Ronda Rousey? Going to assume no, because nobody's saying Shatsu.
I was muted, sorry. No. I was muted, sorry. No.
I have no other thoughts either, sir.
Okay. Well, matter of fact, while we're on the topic, I want your prediction. Is Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble match, or is he in a singles match on the card? He's not going to work both because he's Brock Lesnar. So I'll start with you, McCarthy.
I think it's a singles match with Bobby Lashley.
Mr. Napper, what's your prediction? Is he in the Rumble, or is he in a singles match, presumably with Bobby Lashley?
I'm going to say Rumble and get screwed by Bobby.
So I'm going to hate Bobby Lashley. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can do that.
Yeah, not as much as Brock Lesnar, but yes. Not as much as Brock Lesnar, but yes.
Well, who could hate anybody as much as Brock Lesnar hates, I don't know, living?
People. People.
Yeah. There's people there. All right. To me, this was the bathroom break. Ronda Rousey defeated Shotzi to retain. Yay. There was nothing special here. This was the most anticlimactic Ronda Rousey match ever. I was never invested in this for 1 second, and I don't blame Shotzi for that. I blame in some ways Triple H for putting Shotzi in a match with a charisma vacuum. Because think about it, all the Ronda matches we care about are with women that are Hall of Famers. Charlotte, Hall of Famer. Sasha, Hall of Famer. Bayley, Hall of Famer. Becky Lynch, of course, Hall of Famer. You're talking about generational talent. Shotzi is so far not quite that. That doesn't mean she's not good, but we're talking about women that have revolutionized this business. And so I want that to be understood, not knocking Shotzi at all. I thought this was, like I said, I thought Triple H I respect he was trying to give one to one of his girls. I get it. NXT, I get that. But it's not a winnable position when it felt like Ronda didn't care to make her believable. It felt like kind of old school Brock Lesnar syndrome of, yeah, we'll do it, but I ain't thrilled about it. Where in recent years, Lesnar's been a little bit better about, okay, let's not forget, Drew McIntyre, the run he's on, like as far as really being over and a potential threat to Roman Reigns, started by Brock Lesnar. Remember, pre-pandemic, right as the pandemic was starting, you remember how Brock Lesnar was working his ass off to get Drew McIntyre over. Even if you guys recall, he was mouthing to Drew, to pose with the belt. He was working his ass off to get Drew over back in 2020. Ronda needed to do that for Shotzi, and I don't think she did that. McCarthy, I'm going to come to you on this. What are your thoughts?
I think you're 100% correct. Rousey's not willing to do that for anyone. And that's the difference between Rousey and Brock Lesnar mentality-wise. Because even when Brock was young and didn't want to put a lot of people over, there were the few that he would put over. Kurt Angle, The Undertakers, those guys, he would put over no problem. But it did take him a long time to learn that sometimes you just got to put people over. Because if you all recall, he was pissed when he lost to Eddie. He was pissed. Like, he did not want to drop that until he thought Eddie was too small. So, but my biggest issue with Rousey is that more often than not, when we talk about her, it's always she doesn't care. You can tell she doesn't care. Logan Paul cares more about putting on a good match than someone who is under contract and highly overpaid for what she gets to do. Shayna should be the champion, not Ronda Rousey. You said it best. I mean, she is a charisma vacuum. I don't know what it is. I don't know why she just can't get it. And she's not good enough in the ring. Like at first, when she was teaming with Kurt and wrestling Triple H and having these and Stephanie and having these one-offs, like you could hide her flaws. Now she's the champion. You can't hide those flaws anymore. There's not enough girls on SmackDown that are that good. Like, we're talking about serviceable matches for a world championship. Serviceable matches the whole time. Mandy Rose was serviceable. It was good because of the work she put in. Same with Shotzi. That match had the chance to go completely off the rails, and it was serviceable and all right because of the effort that Shotzi put in. And that's backwards. Both wrestlers should always put in the most effort you should, regardless. But when the champion doesn't put in the effort, what's the point? I mean, Brock did it to Dean. Like, it's not a new thing, but it's frustrating.
That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Dean Ambrose and Lesnar at WrestleMania. That could have been a show stealer, but Lesnar wasn't interested in it, so he just went out there and did the absolute bare minimum. And the thing about Lesnar is, like, for all his faults, and they are plenty, at least he is truly in the conversation for greatest athlete on this planet. So he can fall back on that. So even when you don't like him, it's like he has redeemable qualities when he decides. Ronda Rousey is not in that ballpark.
Why?
Just because she's not talented enough. Like she arguably might love this business more than Brock Lesnar, but she's not as naturally gifted as Lesnar. And lately, ever since people booed her and she didn't like that, she doesn't love this business like she used to. Well, she came in and was joyful. Remember teaming with Kurt Angle, and she was happy and thrilled, and you could tell that even though she was as green as a green apple, she loved this business. She was working the Christmas Raws, for God's sake. And for whatever reason, when she was started to get booed as a face, it took her joy out, and she took it personally. And I'm not, I've made my comment on that. I can't tell anybody how to feel. I personally think you need to get a little thicker skin. Like, this is wrestling. People are going to react however we want in 2022, going into 23. And it just, to me, she's not. And again, I know people feel this way about Lesnar, so, and I understand that I'm biased towards Lesnar. But I'd have to see the numbers. You know, maybe her merch sells real well. I don't know. But I don't understand how at all she's worth the trouble. Like, we know Lesnar makes a difference. His merch sells well. He's a big-time piece. It's hard to book certain shows without him. The Saudi shows come to mind. Where is Ronda Rousey truly needed in this company? And now there's a new report that just came out. Brian Kendrick returned to WWE over the weekend, which is surprising given he said some crazy, crazy things earlier this year. And the report is the reason that he, at least for one night, was back in WWE is because Ronda Rousey requested it. What gives her that kind of pull? This is where I think, and I'm not trying to be unfair to Triple H here, but I think he's a little blinded by his MMA fandom. Like, sometimes it translates, sometimes it doesn't. McCarthy, well, Napper, we haven't given you a chance to share your thoughts here. Do you think me and McCarthy are way off base, or what say you?
I don't think you're way off base. I don't think you're way off base. I don't even know if you're off base. I have always tried to give Ronda a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, just to see if there was any possible way she can improve. First things first with the whole Brock and Ronda thing, where Brock had Drew do this, and do that, Drew do this and do that. Ronda's not skilled enough to do that because she's only been wrestling for 3 years realistically. She doesn't have the veteran experience or mentality like a Brock Lesnar had at that point in that kind of predicament. I think that's part of the problem why she's become this I don't care type of person. I honestly do wonder. And I'm not trying to give her a pass, but at the same time, I wonder if they're not putting her in situations that she definitely doesn't want to be in. Because if I remember correctly, she's gone on record. She didn't want the championship to begin with, and yet they keep putting it on her. Whether that's her decision or theirs, I think theirs. But if that's the case, one, she needs to speak up. If you were consistently not happy with them constantly putting the title picture on you, and putting that kind of pressure on you, you got to say something. But at the same time, I can understand why she would start to become that I don't care type of person, because that's a lot of pressure, especially for somebody that's not, we've seen people that have been in NXT that are just coming up, that get handed the ball and they run with it pretty well. Honestly, Ronda Rousey should too. I understand that. But at the same time, I don't know why, but I feel like I don't know why, but I deserves like a little bit of leeway with that. She deserves a little bit of leeway with that. Switched over from maybe because MMA. I
don't think so. I don't think she deserves leeway right now, because you know what? You're the champion and you're complaining.
Can I give you
Then leave.
She's not complaining though.
Can I give
she's not complaining though.
Like if she went on record and said, I didn't want to be champion, they made me champion, then leave. Because yes, we all have personal lives, we have personal demons, we have personal problems, we have issues at work. Yes. We all have these. But the one thing about professional wrestling that shows the most is when you don't care. Right now, it looks like she doesn't care. That's my problem. It looks like she doesn't care. If you don't care, then don't be there. Divas in the Attitude Era and the Diva Era that had a fraction of the ability that Ronda Rousey could have if she cared about professional wrestling the way that she says she does, put in more effort than she did. One of the greatest women of all time in Trish Stratus started as a blonde bombshell with no talent as far as wrestling went whatsoever. She busted her ass and became Trish Stratus. Why does Ronda Rousey think she doesn't need to put in the work? Because that's what I see.
Let me ask you this, McCarthy, and then I want to give a rebuttal to Napper because actually, I'll give the rebuttal to Napper and let you marinate on it for a second, then I'll ask McCarthy this question. Here is why I think Ronda doesn't deserve a path. I just looked it up. Her reported salary is $1.5 million a year, and that's the highest female paid salary in WWE. So think on that. She's the highest paid female, and she's going through a bit of a I don't care-ism. McCarthy, I want to ask you this question while Napper's thinking. Do you agree with me that I think she did care and really did try, but something kind of checked out for her mentally when the fans turned on her, just like she checked out a little mentally at UFC when she finally lost? Do you agree with that or not?
I agree with parts of it. I loved Ronda when she first came. As good as she was,
I agree with it.
When she first showed up, damn, I thought it was going to be huge. I think it was harder than she thought it was going to be a good pro wrestler because it doesn't always transfer over from MMA. Matt Riddle's a rarity. Brock Lesnar transferred over because he's a wrestler first. Kurt Angle, not even though he wasn't in MMA, he had the amazing first year he had because he was a wrestler. Because those skills that you learn in competitive high school, college, Olympic wrestling transition way better than a lot of martial arts do to professional wrestling, because wrestling is a martial art. It is. But maybe it's because the crust of pro wrestling is wrestling. Everything's based off of it anyway, so it's easier to make that transition. She is talented as hell as far as Taekwondo and stretching people for real in an octagon or MMA ring or wherever she may be. But I think she found the transition from trying to break people in half to try to put on a show while you're trying to do it is a lot harder for her. And I think she kind of just, all right, I'm getting this check. I'm just going to phone it in.
Well, and here's one thing for her to consider, and Napper, we'll come back to you. If you're not happy, you know what you can do, frankly? You can take a page out of Brock Lesnar's book. When Brock Lesnar isn't happy, guess what he does? He takes his ball and he says, all right, I'm out. Yeah. That's what he does. Yeah. Triple H confirmed that when he first got the reins. He didn't go into full detail, but when he did that interview with BT Sport, yeah, there was truth to, oh, he's gone? Okay. I'll see you. I mean, if Ronda's not happy, Lesnar's not afraid to essentially, look, I'm going to whip somebody's ass for a living. It's going to be creative plans I like. If you don't like them, I'm sorry. And if we can't agree on that, then I'm going back to Saskatchewan. And that's how Brock Lesnar works. Matter of fact,
I don't know if it's a passion. And I don't know if it's a passion because honestly, that's why she can't do that. Because honestly,
Brock Lesnar has no passion.
And I won't say that Brock Lesnar has no passion for the business. Clearly, he's put a lot of work into it, especially in the last 2-3 years. But at that point,
but he's unprofessional as hell.
Yeah. I think he's gotten better this last couple of years. I think he's gotten better this last couple of years. When he was taking his ball and going home, when he was taking his ball and going home, I don't know if he really was passionate when she showed up. Maybe Ronda Rousey was when she first showed up. Maybe that's why she's deciding to stay for whatever reason. If she isn't happy, I don't know. See, that's the thing. We don't know what she's thinking. We haven't heard it from anywhere, anybody other than the dirt sheets and all the stories that they're going to write and say because it gets them clicks and it gets them views. That's what's always kind of irritated me about this whole Ronda Rousey situation is I only have the dirt sheets to go off of. I only have the reports to go off of. There's very few, quotes, tweets, whatever. From Ronda Rousey. There's a couple videos out there. I get it. She does have her own YouTube channel and stuff like that. But no real indication of what her mindset is at right now. Whether she is unhappy, whether she isn't. Maybe it's because they made her champion and she hasn't had as much time with her family. She did just have a baby recently. Maybe it's part of that. And again, if that's the case, like we've all said, she's got to say something. She's got to say something. Clearly, you have the pull. Clearly, you have the pull. They consider you a big name, and you are. They consider you a big name, and you are. They say something. They most likely would cater to that, and they should to work with you to make you happy to where you want to keep doing this and improve. I don't know if there's a breakdown. I don't know if there's a breakdown of communication there. Because we don't know. All we can go off is what we've heard in the background. As far as the she's the highest, made so much money thing. I ignore that part. I ignore that part. Simply because of this. A lot of people in professional sports make a lot of money. Doesn't mean they always are good every single time they go out there, whatever they're doing. And money is not happiness. Indicative of anything. Happiness. We've seen a lot of anything. We've seen a lot of with some professional athletes deal with some mental stuff. And I honestly, truthfully, I do think she's suffering for something mentally, and maybe that's the problem. We haven't gone down that road. But you brought up her issue with the MMA, and after her loss, the comments. Obviously the comments about fans booing her. Maybe it is a mental thing. And honestly, if that's the case, I would hope that she at some point would get help from that, because I do think that there's something possibly mentally going on.
And again, as unprofessional as it is, if she's truly unhappy, pull the page out of Lesnar's book. Yes, he's gotten better, but let's not forget the day of Vince's retirement, he didn't take the news well. So he said, "I'm going home." That's true. And so Vince's last act, matter of fact, he might have actually been retired at that point. By all accounts, is he had to call Lesnar and say, "Hey, what's going on here, pal? Let's, have a chat. I'm only having a hell of a day myself." But, Lesnar made Vince's retirement about him for a few hours and left, and then was able to be talked back into the building. That's so. If Lesnar isn't living proof of if the WWE values you as a big name, you can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, all kidding aside, the icon that builds the company into what it is today retires, and then for a few hours it becomes, let's get brought back to work. Think about that. If even that circumstance couldn't make them go, we're going to give up on Brock for a minute here, I don't know if it's possible. So Ronda ought to take a play out of that book. All right. So we'll see what happens with Ronda, and you never know what's going to happen with Brock, because Brock is Brock. AJ Styles defeated Finn Balor to get his first singles win on WWE pay-per-view since 2019. Thought this was a pretty darn good match. I'm not digging the mask off thing. I want those to go away. McCarthy, thoughts on this match?
I thought AJ's match was legit, man. It was great. Finn Balor still not so much. I don't know. Maybe he just really likes Guardians of the Galaxy and Shang-Chi or something. I'm trying to figure out. Because I watched Shang-Chi over my long vacation break, and I was like, oh, that's where he got the idea for that weird silver one with spikes. But other than that, I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, I thought the match was fantastic. And it's been way too long for AJ Styles to get a win on a premium live event. Like, it seems weird, but it was everything we expected as far as AJ Styles and Finn Balor goes. Like, this was better than what Styles and Nakamura was. and we all had high expectations of that. They didn't really live up to them, and how could you after their Wrestle Kingdom matches? But this one lived up to the expectation, continued the story. But I don't know, I want to say that maybe the Raw match to open the show last night should have been in place of AJ versus Balor. But then how do you go an hour of commercial free on a 3-hour show unless you do what they did on Raw last night? So I think everything was just kind of perfectly done, kept the feud going, and we'll see where it goes between Styles and Balor now.
What say you, Mr. Hot Wheels?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't care for the mask off. Care for the mask off. I'll take a Bane. I'll take a Bane mask that was over whatever the heck that was with. I prefer the Spike one. I prefer the Spike one if he's gonna pick and choose what mask he wears. That one looked kind of spiky one. At least that one looked kind of cool. As far as the match goes, loved it. I enjoyed it. Just enough interference from both teams. Told a pretty good story without getting too involved, and let them just beat each other up like only they could. McCarthy said, and like McCarthy said, I like the fact that it was them two and not the whole. It was them two and not the whole. Especially knowing now what we saw on Monday and what we got on Monday, and I think that was very well executed, like he said. Because again, if you're going to have a hour-long commercial free, which I didn't even know.
I didn't either. Did they announce that?
Going to happen? And I don't.
They had
because I looked at Twitter. I was like, was that a thing? Because I was DVRing it. I didn't get to catch it. I didn't get to catch it at the start because I was watching football. For some reason, the Steelers and the Blue Jackets both hate me. They both had a game on Monday, so I had to watch 3 different things all on the same time.
You need a setup like mine, man. You need your laptop and 2 TVs on the wall. You can keep track of all of them at once. It's exhilarating.
I've got the laptop. I've got the monitor. I don't have a TV in this room yet. I don't have a TV in this room yet. Or else I would have.
He's getting that ready for NASCAR season.
Oh yes.
Look, don't get me started on NASCAR season. I'm upset. I'm upset.
What?
I'm upset.
What?
I'm upset. It's not NASCAR's fault, but I'm upset anyway.
I got to hear this. Why?
Because
me too.
The Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers, 2 of the 7 or 8 top teams in the NFL right now, are playing at 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Way, 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 way west in San Francisco. But instead, here in Columbus, Ohio, and Lancaster and everywhere else, we get NASCAR. It's not NASCAR's fault. You guys love it. It's fine. I don't get to see my Dolphins enough. I was excited. I was like, oh, there's like 1 4 o'clock game, or like 3 4 o'clock games, I think, next week. So I'm disappointed and upset that I don't get to watch the Dolphins.
What are you talking about? NASCAR season's over.
NASCAR season's over, buddy. NASCAR season's over, buddy.
The internet lied to me. Because it said something about, it said on their schedule they have some NASCAR thingy next week.
Maybe the awards show. That
makes me even more upset because it's an awards show.
Hold on. The award show is going to be only on Peacock.
Well, then,
I have no idea then.
Whatever I looked at,
I have no idea then.
Fake news. Gotcha.
Fake news. How dare you disparage our I
didn't blame NASCAR for it. I blamed Fox. I was just upset. I said it was fine. It's not NASCAR's fault. It's Fox's fault.
Please tell me what you're referring to when you get a chance.
Okay.
All right.
I gotta find it again.
Do you want to take a break or do you want to go right into Dynamite?
We can take a break. I don't care.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk Dynamite.
Cool.
Hey, what's up, guys? Superman Onyx here.
Buddy, NASCAR.
WrestleFit, one of the newest baddest now. Now, yes, the word wrestling is in it, but you won't be wrestling. You won't be doing the headlocks or the slams or the spine busters that I do. Yeah. But what you will be doing is everything that we do to get ready to get in the ring, from kettlebell swings to slam balls to flipping tires to hitting tires to doing Olympic weightlifting movements. Guys, you don't want to miss out on this. WrestleFit is the way to go. Gives you a little bit of everything. I hope to see you soon.
Do you have kids? Looking for a fun, inviting way to wear them out and help them stay healthy and fit? Then look no further, my friends. WrestleFit Jr. is exactly what you're looking for. Certified personal trainer and pro wrestler Superman Onyx will treat your mini you to a fitness program like no other. With exercises like running the ropes to tire flips and combining healthy eating habits and personal accountability, your child will earn the conditioning of a pro wrestler without the bumps. Stop by the Now Training Center at 625 Eastgate Parkway, Blacklick, Ohio 43004, or visit WrestleFitJr.com on Facebook for class schedules and book an appointment today.
Hey, what's up, guys? Superman Onyx here. Hey, WrestleFit, one of the newest, baddest workouts out there right now. Now, yes, the word wrestling is in it, and I'm by a wrestling ring, but you won't be wrestling. You won't be doing the headlocks or the slams or the spine busters that I do. Yeah, but what you will be doing is everything that we do to get ready to get in the ring, from kettlebell swings to slam balls to flipping tires to hitting tires to doing Olympic weightlifting movements. Guys, you don't want to miss out on this. WrestleFit is the way to go. Gives you a little bit of everything. Hope to see you soon.
Oh, hey there, Bruiser Nation. Raise those anchors and get ready to wear the official merch of BruiserNationProductions.KinCustom.com and show the world your love of the Bruiser Nation as you go about your day in style. We have Bruise Cruise podcast and To the Turnbuckle tees, hoodies, jackets, shoes, bags, and even pillows. You heard that right. Pillows. That's BruiserNationProductions.KinCustom.com. Once again, BruiserNationProductions.KinCustom.com. And remember, Bruiser Nation, stay good, because I'm always good.
And actually, Jason was right. There's a NASCAR race of 75 years of racing for some reason at 4:30.
Huh. So I am right to be upset. Dang it. I'm too cheap for that. I don't even know how to do that stuff, bruh. Yeah, but it takes time, and I don't have that. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
No. No. Mm-mm. I don't even know how. I like Jason. I have no clue. I may work in AV, but I ain't that smart. I hope it was weird for everybody. I mean, he can still throw a punch.
I mean, as far as I know, it's still a 3-year deal. That was the first report when he signed. I don't know why Meltzer said 1 year. It makes no sense. He should know better. It's all part. It's all part of storyline anyway. I mean, he'll be back. I feel like Moxley watched The Lion King with his daughter, like shortly before that, because I mean, it wasn't the best opening promo segments like to begin with anyway, because it was weird and clunky. Like I know what they were trying to do.
Run,
and
Simba.
like I don't know if Regal turned on the Combat Club or just John Moxley, but then how does that work? Like, so not a lot was accomplished in the rare opening promo segment on Dynamite, because they don't do a lot of those, but like nothing was accomplished at all. So that'll be like my first complaint. I mean, I couldn't help but like almost get taken out of the whole situation. I loved the Lion King reference. Who doesn't? But hearing it from John Moxley's weird, man. Sorry, it's weird. I did not expect to hear like a Lion King quote come out of John. Chris Jericho, sure. But John Moxley, like no, it just felt weird. And
he just doesn't have the same gravitas.
He's never been good at pulling off Goofy, man. He's just not, and it's fine.
He just needs to channel.
I mean, and
channel his inner. Jeremy Irons. He needs to channel his inner Jeremy Irons.
And it almost feels like a reverse Lion King at this point, because like the baby face is telling the heel to run away.
It felt like Simba.
And you know damn well that Regal is gonna be back with the power of the punch, right along with Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Like I said, man, he had to have watched that movie.
Yeah. Baby Simba's telling Scar to run. Yeah, perfect analogy. Especially with those guys. His debut was coming out and slapping both of them.
No, hell no. He's still going to be there. He'll be back. No problem. I think it's probably a couple of weeks. I don't think, because the one thing with the Regal and MJF pairing is that neither one needs the other. MJF can cut promos just fine. William Regal can manage anybody and get them over probably. So it's not necessarily going to be like he shows up next week with MJF. He might just have seen something in MJF that reminds him of a young him. And that's all it is. I know, right?
You okay? Are you sure? Yeah, we've all done it. Yeah, I had kind of the same thought. It's like, that was weird. I don't think he's going back to Hunter. I do think he's there to stay, at least for his contract, and then maybe he'll go back. I do think eventually he'll finish out his career in WWE, but not until this Combat Club stuff is officially done. But the whole segment was weird and clunky, and it wasn't bad. It was just weird. Like Logan said, the quote coming out of Moxley. I love me some Lion King. Don't get me wrong, very much do. Blah. But at the same time, it's weird coming out of the words of a lunatic, which it should match, right? It should match. But it doesn't. It just doesn't. And then Daniel Bryan, like you said, not having a moral compass, because it's like, wait, aren't you in the Combat Club and he just screwed over? Like, what? Why are you defending him? I get it. You're on the kind of the outs with the club, but
it's Lord William Regal. How can you not defend him?
All right, wait a minute. Didn't you just talk about how clunky the segment was? Now you're switching up.
I'm not
now
switching.
You're defending him too. What's wrong? Now you're defending him too. What's wrong with you?
Danielson and your guys' claim of his lack of moral character. This man means a lot to Bryan Danielson. He can't separate his emotions from business. That's all it is.
Well, be a damn grown man, Bryan, and because that's the biggest question I have. Number one, are we writing Regal off? Apparently not. Number two, did Regal turn on Moxley or the BCC? There's a lot of questions there.
I don't know. I think we find out soon. I agree with McCarthy. I don't think we see him tomorrow, but I think we see him tomorrow, but I think we see him in maybe because I think that's the way to do it. Because I think that's the way to do it. I think you let this week MJF carry this week. Next week let BCC have their moment. BCC have their moment, and then the following week, we all come together for a big kumbaya. Somebody just can't wait to be king. Somebody just can't wait to be king.
We got a long way to go till the next pay-per-view. It's a while. It's like March. All right, Orange Cassidy defeated Hager to obtain a championship. I hated this. I hated it.
But he messed up his hat. Like,
what? You are Jake Hager. Why are you picking up your hat every 5 seconds? Who cares? You're supposed to be an MMA fighter, you lisp having son of a bitch. Who cares?
Cheese and rice, bro. He just likes his hat. He's trying to be different. He can't stand out as his MMA persona. He'll always be a mid-carder. He's just trying to go out there and have fun and show something different.
What did I care about a hat more than I care about this title that's on the line?
That hat's important to him. It was given to him by Chris Jericho via
No, it's a damn disgrace. Exactly. That's why there's a speech was because it sucks. There's a championship belt on the line that needs established, and he's too worried about his damn hat. Are you kidding me? What is going on here? This is this professional wrestling, or is this Chippendales on ice? Christ's sake.
Both.
Well, I didn't sign up for that. McCarthy, are you really going to justify this absolute load of horse shit we witnessed?
Dude, it wasn't even that bad. Like, the match itself was all right. Was it something to write home about that we'll sit here and talk about in a month? No. It was a serviceable mid-hour match with a little bit of comedy mixed in. And I like it when guys do this shit. I don't care. We have come so far in pro wrestling, but weird comedy is completely unacceptable. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Hot lesbian action's great, but let's not let Jake Hager have fun. Like, come on, man.
Not during a championship match. I don't want to see hot lesbian action during a championship match.
The point took a drastic turn.
This took a drastic turn. Professional wrestling. This is supposed to be the sport-based deal. He's got to pick up his hat. No. Why?
Because he's just trying to be funny. Did it work? No.
How am I supposed to? The point of wrestling, as we all agree on this, we got to suspend some disbelief, right? That's what we got to do. Have to. We have to. Right?
I believe that hat is trashed. I believe that hat is trashed.
We have to. So, how am I supposed to suspend disbelief, McCarthy? And then he's doing this. You're going to have to take a little while. My dog's going to make a lot of noise. So talk to me. You two carry this thing for a second.
Look, it's as simple as this. It's just a hat to you and me. It is a prized possession to Jake Hager when he is on AEW television. Look, does it make sense? No. Is it the end of the world? No. It's a title defense. There was pro wrestling involved, and there was some comedy. It's not that big of a deal, man. And the reason why it's not that big of a deal, have you never had a prized possession that you might stop everything for? Nothing that you've ever owned in your life could make you stop what you're doing.
You know what's a prized possession? The championship.
But he doesn't have it yet. And plus it goes with the story of nobody taking Orange Cassidy seriously. If it would have been Pac, he wouldn't have done that. But he doesn't take Orange Cassidy seriously. That's how the Orange Cassidy character works. Could I have done without it? Yes, I will say that. Is it an egregious misuse of their time? I don't think so.
Yes, it was absolutely. It was the equivalent of, I mean, you might as well stuck pins in my eyes. Hot Wheels, be the tiebreaker. What'd you think of it? Am I way off base? Is McCarthy way off base? It's 1-1. Bring it home. Where's your bread buttered?
I'm Switzerland. I didn't care for it. At the same time, I agree with Jason. It didn't really do that much to kill it for me. But at the time.
And also, I'm going to go ahead and say that it was positioned perfectly because, no one's kind of paying attention. And then the House of Black comes back at the end when it's all over with. You have them lulled into something that they may not want to pay attention to, and then you turn around and re-debut the House of Black. Now, in the future, you may not turn away and make that food or run to the bathroom during one of these comedy matches.
Maybe. You think that return, McCarthy? Good talk. Bailey's got thoughts. What'd you think of the return, Hot Wheels?
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that's pretty good. It is weird. It is weird after seeing that match, but maybe Jason's on something. Never go to the matches like that. Matches like that ever again. Never know what you might miss.
Yay!
Hey, it's an old Cody Rhodes thing. He used to always want to do crazy stuff in the picture-in-picture so that people pay attention. Is it going to work? I don't know.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, you guys break up a little bit sometimes. I didn't hear words.
You know what I'm hoping breaks up the best friends.
Oh.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's been 3 years. They've been doing the same thing. They need to. Look what they did with the Dark Order on Rampage. The Dark Order has been completely
and I'm hoping
inconsequential to storyline and everything else. But now we care again because Preston turned and left. So I can do better on my own. Like, do we care about the Dark Order per se? Maybe not. But we're interested in where Preston's going to go from here.
And I'm hoping that the part of it between AEW and Orange Cassidy breaks up soon. Cassidy might hit that on point line. Ricky Starks defeated Page. I'm so lost on Ricky Starks. This man's a star, but they are butt fumbling it. This guy's got tools. Got everything you want, but I'm not investing in Ricky Starks right now. Am I alone in that? Why you, McCarthy? All right, McCarthy. Expand upon that, Mr. Hot Wheels.
I'm in the same mindset. Like, nothing about anything they've really done with him recently strikes a chord or resin. Why am I supposed to care about him? And maybe McCarthy has a good rebuttal to it or an explanation. But I don't know why I'm supposed to care about him at the moment, because it seems like they've got no real direction for him.
And maybe that'll change.
You know, like we talked about with Austin Theory. Everyone thought he was dead in the water. And then something happened and they turned a corner.
I think it's going to be that.
I think it's going to turn around for Starks.
No, not
necessarily, but
maybe they've got something planned for him.
But for right now, he feels like he's on the cusp almost every time he's out there. But
what it is,
I have no idea.
McCarthy, are you back?
Yeah, I was here the whole time.
All right.
We can't hear you half the time.
I'm sorry, because it probably breaks up on my end too, because we have to do this over Skype. Sometimes I don't hear you guys because it breaks up through the airwaves. But anyway, I am invested in Ricky Starks. I've been invested in Ricky Starks for a long time. Now, that's me. Have they done the work to truly make people invest in Ricky Starks? I don't think so. And especially because they tried to tell this whole underdog story with him through this tournament. He's hurt, he's taped up, this, that, and the other, but it didn't translate over. I'm not going to say they missed when the iron was hot, because Ricky Starks is totally talented enough to turn this around and make everybody care about him. But when he was feuding with Hobbs is when he should have started making the transition higher up the card, because you kind of cared. Was Taz's group the best group they ever had? No, not really. But if you look at the guys that are in it, they're in major storylines. People love Hook. Powerhouse Hobbs is feuding for the TNT title. Ricky Starks gets a title shot. So you would think that everyone would be invested in these two young guys. But there's something that they're not doing to get it over the hump. Commentary tried so hard in that Ethan Page match talking about how he's taped up and the spear damaged him and he's went through hell with Brian Cage and Lance Archer. Like the commentators are putting in the work. Ricky Starks is putting in the work. They haven't put him in the right story to make us care. Because in all intents and purposes, he's the underdog right now in AEW. But you guys said it. You're just not invested in his story right now. And that's a problem when you have an underdog as popular and as talented as Ricky Starks is. So like I said, you guys aren't wrong. I'm invested in Ricky Starks because I've liked him for a while. But there's something needs to be done to make the average AEW fan be invested in what happens with Ricky Starks.
Best part about doing the trip from Homeboys? When you wanted to see the playoff rankings, you just flip TV on. Best part about doing the trip from Homeboys? Woo! When you wanted to see the playoff rankings, you just flip TV on. Hey, they moved Penn State up finally. They're number 8.
Oh, I got it on.
There you go.
I mean, I didn't until you said that, but now I'm definitely turning it on.
When we get the Buckeyes ranking.
Oh, I got it on.
I was going to say, Daff, right no way you ain't got it on, too. You crazy.
I mean, I didn't until you said that, but now I'm definitely turning it on.
Oh, yeah, you're dialing in. Yep. All right. We'll touch on that in a moment when it happens. The Death Triangle defeated the Elite. They're taking that 2-0 lead, McCarthy. I got to say, I'm surprised by this one, but I
agree with you.
I think the Elite are really trying to get Death Triangle
at the end
over,
of the tournament that they walk
but I
away
still feel like they're going to win this series
and I think it's the
win the
right
Trios
call to have
championships.
them,
What are your thoughts?
A couple of matches before they finally get a victory. And of the tournament that they won. We didn't do a show last week, so and I think it's the right call to have them talk about how we felt about a couple of matches. They finally get an opportunity. And we didn't do a show last week, so we couldn't really talk about how we felt about I'm talking Sheamus Cesaro is probably the most recent one. Then you got Benoit versus Booker T. Before that, there's not a whole lot of good, solid best-of-7 series. There's not a whole lot of them to begin with. But I think it's going to be on that level. And we're in for a real treat, especially as the weeks progress and we get to Winter is Coming. Because I believe that's when the 7th match is. It might be after that. I don't remember.
They've come back. One thing we got to touch on. They are relentlessly mocking CM Punk. I know everybody's tired of saying his name. These returns back. But do you read into that in any way, shape,
because
fashion?
even I am, and I'm a
what his status may be with the
They
company.
are relentlessly mocking CM Punk.
There was a report by
during
these returns back. Brian Alvarez
do you
said on
read
the
into that in any way, shape, fashion? The Observer,
his status may be with
Punk
the company.
wants
the buyout of the contract, but Tony Khan does not. Which means one thing. Tony Khan thinks there's money to be made here and get your ass back to work at some point. At least that's what I presume, because if you're going to try and fire CM Punk without the buyout, that's going to be a legal headache you don't need. And frankly, it's one that I think CM Punk will probably win, because he even got money from Vince McMahon post I'm leaving. Ohio State sitting at 5, Alabama 6. So we'll touch on that in just a moment. But first, McCarthy, I got to hear your thoughts on what you think CM Punk's status with AEW may or may not be. Because, again, Alvarez said on the message board, Punk wants the buyout, but implied Khan does not.
I think the situation's still the same. I still think CM Punk won't be back in AEW. And I don't think it's so much that Tony Khan doesn't want the buyout. I think it's a money thing. How much is he willing to pay? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Punk did this to himself, assaulted people, helped assault people, who walked into a locker room with the company's lawyer to talk about situations. I don't know if you need all that. It's going to be a money thing, and there's going to be issues, and maybe Tony Khan is like, you know what, I have all the evidence I need. If you don't want to make a deal with me, I'll take you to court. Don't care. Go ahead. Because we haven't heard anything different that the Elite started it or anything like that. Because, like I said, they walked in with a lawyer. You're not walking into a room with a lawyer if you're planning on duking it out with somebody.
See, I think it's a matter of, can you talk Punk into either the right price to buy him out? If not, Tony Khan is a businessman. I don't think you're going to pay him to sit at home forever. You know, at some point, CM Punk will be healed, and he doesn't like to let people out of his contracts, period. But are you going to pay that type of money to have him sit at home during this entire process? I don't know. And because the odd thing is they keep periodically releasing CM Punk merchandise. There was a CM Punk ornament released a few weeks ago. If you're wanting to put that on your Christmas tree, I'm sure you are, Napper. I know you're a founding member of the Best in the World fan club. I like you, McCarthy. I don't think the status has changed, but I don't think anything is decided. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I don't think anything's decided, but they're so far apart that I think there's going to be a number to settle, and that'll be it. And I mean, on the merch thing, I think people look way too far into that.
Yeah, that's probably
because let's be honest, they didn't make a CM Punk ornament the week before All Out. You know, those were made in June or July, just like all their other merch. It's made before it releases. You spent the money to make it, might as well sell it. I would. It's gonna sell. People love CM Punk. Maybe not as many right now as they did 4 months ago, but that'll change. And like I said, if you spent money making it, sell that shit. So what if CM Punk gets a cut of it? Oh, well. It's not like he's not allowed to earn money. He just doesn't fit with the company. And I don't think it's worth the headache at this point. Could it create an amazing story when CM Punk comes back? Sure it could. Probably one of the most emotional stories we'd ever see in AEW in recent memory. But what do you do after that? And after that? And after that? So I think it's better for everybody to just cut their losses, maybe 2 years down the road, revisit it. CM Punk, you want to come in for a couple of months, and we'll play this out in front of the television audience. You get yourself a paycheck, everything's done and over with, and we all just move on.
You know, the great thing about wrestling, and one of the worst things about wrestling also, is you truly can never say never. You know, until this deal is done, until this buyout deal is done, which it is not to our knowledge, then there's always that chance, because, again, I'm reminded of the Ric Flair Bischoff situation in 99, where Ric Flair was gone. He was as good as gone. Flair was going to fire him, and that was it. And lawyers and everything, they just both got tied up in not wanting to do it. And so the heat died down, and Flair went away for 6 months, and they eventually were able to work together again. So you never say never until the deal's done. I'm surprised the deal isn't done. I'm not saying that implies a return. I'm saying that I think they're hitting more wrinkles than they thought they were going to hit. Mr. Napper, what say you? Again, what do you make of, like I said, Alvarez said that Punk wants to buy out, but pretty much made clear that Tony Khan is not necessarily all for that. Are you surprised that we're still kind of dealing with this? We're seeing Punk is still technically on the roster and a part of the company. I thought it would be over with by now. At this point, I thought the buyout was going to come, because about 3 weeks ago, the buyout report started, and I thought, all right, we're barring a major change, we're pretty close to the official end of CM Punk and AEW. What do you make of that? The fact that, and again, let's not forget the fact that the Elite are mocking CM Punk heavily on TV, so you always kind of wonder if there might be something there. What do you make of the newest update on CM Punk and the Elite trolling him pretty hard?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised it's still kind of taking this long. I too kind of thought it was going to be over by now, especially when those reports came out. That the buyout was possibly coming soon. But this is one of those things where buyouts sometimes can be tricky. You got to find that right price. I think eventually they'll get there. But what it is, if they want to take their time and delegate, this, what that exact number is, more power to them. Tony Khan's best interest and Punk's best interest. No matter what they come to, as far as the trolling goes, I'm not surprised. I could probably find at least 5 AEW has trolled itself. They just love to troll people. They just love to troll people. No matter what it is, whether it's WWE that they bring up almost every other week, or themselves, they have no problem for whatever reason. And sometimes I got to commend them for it. They have no problem airing their dirty laundry out on TV if it'll make them a quick buck. Or, get eyes on the product. And more, honestly, I don't fault them for it because I'm sure, I almost said Ohio State, WWE has done that numerous times to get their own, ratings pop and whatever. It's a marketing ploy. It's a marketing tactic, and it's genius. Why not? It'll get the world talking about the Elite. It'll get the eyes on AEW because it's interesting, it's funny, and it's something relevant to this year. I can't fault them for it. The real question is if Punk isn't bought out. Although I will say this, because I won't even entertain that idea. He's got to be bought out at some point just because of the simple fact that they're trolling him. Either that or he has somehow gained some incredibly thick skin in a couple of months that nobody knew he even had in his back pocket. Because otherwise, if he's on the roster and they're trolling him like this, you're going to have another problem. But I
to a buyout if the right price is happening. But CM Punk is a traditionally very hard negotiator. He negotiated with WWE for months, after they finally reached the right severance package, to sell some armbands and do it. But if that number is not met, which it seems like it's going to be more difficult than we thought, I think Colin's holding out hope, and maybe we can do something here. Because again, wrestling is this weird thing of, well, because part of CM Punk's money, I guarantee you, is guaranteed. So yes, he's fine paying mailbox money. Tony Khan obviously is. He does it to Jake and Arn Anderson and sometimes Dustin Rhodes and a slew of others. But no disrespect to those legends, they deserve every penny they get. But I guarantee you they're not making anywhere near what CM Punk is. So are you going to pay him what is probably a hell of a base salary to sit at home for the next 2-3 years, whatever his contract was, if you can't reach a buyout? Because CM Punk isn't going to, he's not going to give, because that's not the way CM Punk works. What are your thoughts on that, McCarthy, as far as if they don't reach a number proper, will that make Tony go, well, can we work a deal to get you back on TV in some form? Because from a business standpoint, would you agree he's got an insane base salary he's going to get paid?
Well, sure he does. It's CM Punk. It took him a lot of money just to get him there in the first place. So I'm sure there's a base guaranteed salary. But at the end of the day, paying people to sit at home, it's nothing new for pro wrestling promoters. It's nothing new for NFL owners. It's nothing new for soccer owners. It's a thing. Coaches, players, staff, you name it. It's happened over. I'm pretty sure the Cleveland Browns are still paying the coach from the year 2000. If I do my math correctly, I'm being slightly facetious, but they've been paying coaches that haven't been coaching for the Browns for a long time.
Well, the Reds are still paying King Griffey Jr.
Well, see, there you go. He hasn't played in like 20 years.
They're paying him until 2023. He makes about $3 million a year from the Reds. So
no wonder we're terrible. That $3 million can do so much in baseball. I'm joking because it can't.
So just to read you the report from Brian Alvarez, the quick comment. He said, Punk wants the buyout. Why would AEW want to buy out? Fire him. If you troll him, what's going to happen? He's going to say he doesn't want to buy out anymore. Maybe they will fire him, but they're not going to do it when he's injured. So it sounds like still pretty up in the air. Sounds like I was going through and looking for that report. This thing just takes more turns and more, all right, he's done, but he's not done. He might be done. He probably is done. Maybe he's not done. It really sounds like, and I commend Tony Khan for this. It really sounds like Tony Khan is probably going to approach the situation based on how he feels several months down the road when CM Punk as well. And if he still feels like nothing can be done here, I think he'll probably give him the can. But I think Tony Khan is leaving the door not open, but how about this? Not open. How about this? The door ajar, just in case. That's what it feels like to me.
Oh, I think so. I think you hit the nail.
To that, either one of you?
I think you hit the nail on the head with that, because I think we talked about this when it first happened, that Tony Khan doesn't seem like a kind of guy who's going to release somebody when they're hurt, because then he can't cover their medical expenses. Even Vince covered medical expenses and kept people on the roster or under some kind of payroll to make sure they were taken care of. So CM Punk had a few surgeries post walkout that were covered by Vince in part of the agreement. I know Drozdov still gets paid. Yep. And so I think I got to commend Tony Khan. I think Tony Khan's not being hasty about this thing. I think he's going to revisit it when CM Punk is well enough to think about revisiting it. And if CM Punk hasn't given any, then I think there's a good chance CM Punk goes. But I don't think Tony Khan has made a final decision. I think we're all leaning towards a buyout or a firing, but it doesn't feel definitive to me because, again, just there's too many twists and turns to feel definitive. I think, do we all agree on that? Oh, for sure. Yeah. All right. Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker defeated Willow Nightingale and Blue and TJ as they call boy. TJ. Boy, and Jim Ross wishes he was calling Dynamite for that. So, any thoughts on this before we move it along? I mean, it was there. Yeah, it was okay. It slightly advanced the Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter eventual breakup, but I mean, yeah, we're getting there sometime. It was there. That was it. Yep, that's how I felt about it. So the Acclaimed cut a promo, and when I say the Acclaimed, I really mean Billy Gunn, to be honest, which was odd. And then Jeff Jarrett comes on the screen. Looks like we're gonna get Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal feuding with the Acclaimed now. Hot Wheels, what do you think of that?
On one hand, I think we've seen those two tag together. We've seen those two tag together before, obviously, with the whole last match thing. Clearly, they have chemistry together as a tag team. Still kind of goes back to that. Jeff Jarrett conversation we had about Jeff Jarrett before. It's like, what's going on here with Jeff Jarrett? Like, yeah, it's great that he's there. Hopefully they do a lot of great things together. It's just necessary. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? just because, which I mean, it should be a great match. I think because I think Jeff Jarrett actually has been pretty good. Recently. So times we've seen him recently, so I have no doubt that he can carry his own in this match. But if that's what we get, but I don't know, just feels a little.
What say you, McCarthy? Any rebuttal to that?
It's a blow-off feud for the Acclaimed until their next challengers are decided, because they've kind of finished the Swerve in Our Glory storyline. Got to go somewhere. Not sure where it's going, because the people love the Acclaimed. They can come out and talk for a month and no one would bat an eye, but that's not what they're going to do. But I think this is just a couple month, 2-3 month little mini feud to fill up some time to when they start their next feud leading into the next pay-per-view.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with. I don't know the purpose of Jeff Jarrett on TV, but he's good enough that for now it doesn't matter. Like, it's still fresh enough that.
I think the purpose is for us to all cringe in 2022 and beyond when he says slap nuts. It wasn't cool in 2002, and it's not cool now. It's freaking awful.
I like it.
Screw you. I thought it was funny.
I like it. I like when he says slap nuts.
Look, I thought it was funny in 2002. It's been 20 years.
It hits me right in my nostalgia button.
You know what does that for me with Jeff Jarrett? Brace guitars. That's all the Jeff Jarrett nostalgia I need. Broken guitars.
Well, hey, I love the NWO. That just happens to be the worst version.
Not wrong.
That's worse than Vince's version without Hogan.
Oh, God.
Where Shawn Michaels was a member.
Oh, man, when we got to see Shawn Michaels super kick Big Show, but Big Show had to, lean way in and down to take it. That was great.
Yep.
Just
I love that nobody thought that through that day.
I know, right?
Can't believe Vince or Triple H or somebody didn't go, there's a hell of a size difference there. Nobody, Bruce didn't go, anybody else steal one of these? Or those damn
Sean's not exactly Bruce Lee to get it up there.
Nobody thought, hey, just from a logistical standpoint here, this has got to be a little tough. Nobody. We didn't run through that before the show aired. Christ. All right, but we got to talk about this main event. This was worth sitting through the whole show. You talk about, somewhere, Gunther was smiling because they were whipping the holy hell out of each other. Chris Jericho is an absolute moron, and I love him for it. Because, dear God, did he get his ass whooped. And I don't know why you're doing this at this age. These kind of matches, but God bless you. So, McCarthy, I got to come to you first. It's Jericho. He retains, but it was a street fight.
Dude, man, what do you even say? This might be his best match 2022. And and maybe by a wide margin. He hasn't had bad matches this year, but as far as emotion and storytelling and brute strength, and it was something to behold. I've never, not one time, have I seen anybody get busted open with chops. That's not a thing. It is now. But it wasn't before Wednesday.
I was like, damn, there's blood everywhere.
I was like, oh, my God.
I was like, somebody has hurt somebody.
Wait, when did he blade? And then you notice, he
did that? Good Lord.
He ran up to Ishii and said, we're going to call this in the ring. The only request I have is you Vader me like he did Mick Foley, but with all chops.
Oh my God!
He most certainly did. Dear God,
it was magnificent. I am Chris Jericho, you absolute fool.
He loves it, man.
Somebody.
Great, dude. I mean, and I think that's really what made this show good, because we have similar thoughts on a lot of other matches. Even though I liked some things more than you guys did, some of these matches we wouldn't have noticed if it was something else. That's Hager and Cassidy. That's the 3-team women's match. Like, anything else could have taken their place. They just didn't feel significant. But this made, like Logan said when we started talking about this made that whole 2 hours, like, if you didn't like it, you weren't really thinking about it. Jericho and Ishii made you remember that main event, and that was their job. That is what everyone left the arena and changing channels and whatever have you when you're done watching Dynamite. That's what they were thinking of. And I mean, we're still talking about it. Everybody's still talking about it. It's wild.
It's going to be hard to follow that up at Final Battle for Jericho. It's going to be really difficult.
I don't know if Claudio's got that mean streak for that.
I know.
Claudio's great, but he's not mean like Ishii is.
Well, he's going to need to find it, because that was balls to the wall. Any thoughts on this main event, Hot Wheels? Because this was, I mean, you talk about a banger.
Good old fashioned slobber knocker. No, not really. Not really. I think you guys touched on it pretty much. Quite honestly, I think I agree with you. Jericho. What a fool.
But thank you for being
happy fool. But
a bloody fool.
Plus a fool.
Thank you, Jericho. And Ishii, thank you for being willing to murder a man on live television. You got to really ignore a moral compass when you're going to hurt somebody like that. It was just, I think it might be the best main event of 2022 for AEW, period. It was so good. It should be on pay-per-view again on Final Battle, frankly.
Yeah, probably should.
It was so good. Like, can you imagine that match with weapons? Somebody's gonna die.
And Claudio.
Yeah, let's
make it a triple threat.
I'm just trying to help you, Mr. Khan. Mr. Khan, I'm trying to help you. All right. So, are you ready to run those ropes?
Yeah, running the ropes.
Yeah. All right. So, well, he said he wasn't coming back, but he's coming back at least for a month or so. Ric Flair says he's going to return to WWE for Raw's 30th anniversary early next year. He also says he'll be at the Royal Rumble, by the way. He got invited to be at the Rumble and the 30th anniversary, and he's going to be there. So, Ric Flair is at least coming home for one night, coming on back home to WWE, and the Cult of the Big Nose, his best pal, his good buddy, the man who tolerates him more than most. Any thoughts on Ric Flair returning to the WWE for Raw's 30th anniversary? Because at one point this year, he was adamant about, he even said, when I die, have AEW do a video package on me, not the WWE. So I'm going to start with you, Hot Wheels. Ric Flair says he's coming to Raw's 30th anniversary. We're going to stay all night and stay a little longer.
I'm not totally surprised. I figured cooler heads were going to prevail. Cooler heads were going to prevail, and there was going to be a way. Especially with Hunter in charge, they were going to find a way to pull him back in. At least for the 30th anniversary of Raw, get involved. I can't say that I'm surprised. It's good for him, and it's good for him, and it's good for business. Obviously for business.
It's good.
So it's good for you. And it's good for you. Good for you. I didn't say it wasn't. I agree it is. I agree it is. Maybe it'll make you smile more. Crotchety since Vince left.
Towards WWE, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And the rest of us, geez.
Sensitive bastard. CM Punk, get thick skin. Travis Napper, you're awful crotchety.
I mean, Travis is not wrong. Those two statements were both spoken in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
By you. Spoken by you, sir. Great job, Switzerland. Great job.
Mr. McCarthy.
Huh.
What say you? Ric Flair coming back to WWE at least for technically 2 nights because he said he'll be at the Rumble, and I would assume he'll have an on-screen role at Raw's 30th anniversary where he'll be closing it down at the bar, I'm sure. What are your thoughts?
I mean, good for him. What do you do? He's friends with Triple H. Kind of figured this would happen. He's been an important part of, 15 plus years of Raw? So it makes sense for him to be there. Maybe even more than 15, I don't know, because he had 2 different stints and, well, actually like 4 different stints now. But like he had WCW, then WWE, when they won the title at the Royal Rumble, and then he went back to WCW, then he came back, and then left, and he came back, and but probably a good 15.
He was on Raw for a constant from about 2006, 2008 in his retirement. Then he was on Raw here and there for a while. Then he went away from TNA, and then he came back, and then he was on Raw a boatload some with Charlotte over the last when Charlotte first hit the main roster. He was on Raw a boatload, like for a couple of years there. And then he was on Raw during the height of the pandemic because Vince said, what is safety? It'll be fine. It was Ric Flair and Randy Orton that brought a little bit out of Drew McIntyre that we hadn't seen. So Ric Flair coming back to Monday Night Raw 2023. We'll see if that leads to more. If it goes well, it always could because, Ric Flair's a whore for this thing called wrestling. And so if it goes well and he behaves and everybody's happy, you never know. He might be strutting for years to come on Monday Night Raw. God hopes, man. All right, now let's talk about some negative news. We've talked about Ric Flair coming on back, and a guy that Ric Flair's heavily mentored, his future's way up in the air right now. Randy Orton, his future very uncertain with his fusion back surgery. Some are wondering, according to Fightful, if he'll be able to come back at all because the back surgery was worse than, not in terms of it went worse, but more damage was done than they anticipated. And it looks very likely, at the very least, that he's going to miss WrestleMania. Just had surgery last week or so. You saw his wife post that photo of a very feeling good Randy Orton in the hospital bed. What are your thoughts, Hot Wheels? Randy Orton's future very, very uncertain. Some are wondering, some are speculating that his full-time days might be DUN done.
I'm not sure if they're completely done. But to be honest, it's Randy Orton. To be honest, his full-time days were full-time days were done a long time. I know he showed up quite frequently. But the man took very, very long vacation. This is not the first time we've been without Randy Orton. Very long time without Randy Orton. Probably. I think we'll survive. I think we'll survive. I hope he can make it back. That he's able to find a way back. Whether that's full-time, part-time, safely. But I hope he's able to find a way back. Because I hope he's able to find a way back. Because as we saw with Edge, we've seen with Daniel Bryan and stuff like that. You never want to see somebody have to be done injury and be done because of an injury and be done doing not by their own, especially a guy like Randy Orton, who has so many things, fought through so many things, injuries, career, personal injuries, whatever, personal demons, whatever, you know. And it sucks too because these last couple years and to Randy's his even admission have been some of his best work. Have been some of his best work. He was on a roll. It really seemed like he was starting to go off and really starting to go off. It was going somewhere really special. It was going somewhere really special. And so I hope he's able to take the air out of that. So I hope he's able to get back. If not by Mania, then sometime by the end of next year. Maybe the Rumble next year. Maybe the Rumble next year. That would be a pretty cool pop. That would be a pretty cool pop. I would love to see him at least get it. I would love to see him at least get it another couple of years. At best, maybe 1 to 2 years. So he maybe 1 to 2 years. Right off so he can sunset the right way. Right off into the sunset the right way. Because let's be honest, he's still technically in wrestling sort of young. He's still sort of young. He was just getting to that age. Now he's considered even though he's been an old veteran, even though he's been a veteran for God knows how many years. He was just starting to get into that. He was just starting to get into that category, and so category. I would love to see him get that chance. I would love to see him get that chance. Come back.
McCarthy, what say you? I know you've seen the report on Randy Orton's status. What are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, I hope, like, for all intents and purposes, the surgery went fine.
Seems like it did.
I want to see Randy back. I mean, I patterned a lot of body movement, facial expressions, attitude in the ring from Randy. He was a big, like I said, I had a cup of coffee as a wrestler in pro wrestling. He was my template, if you will, that I built my character around, some of my moves and everything else. So not seeing him around is always weird. I would rather, I'd like to see him back for Royal Rumble, don't get me wrong. But when I hear that fusion word, very similar to Austin, it's totally different surgeries, totally different parts of the body. But when you hear that fusion part, I mean, they're taking bone over here and bone over here and fusing them together, which severely reduces your movement and ability to do things. I think from a medical perspective, Randy should probably take a couple years off and see where he is. From a fan perspective, I want him back as soon as possible. But from a realistic medical and, he's a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm. Let's all be honest. What the hell? Let's all be honest. Do what the hell is Randy going to do if Randy doesn't come back? He's going to be an emotional wreck.
He's going to hang out with
Come back for Riddle.
It's fine.
Maybe we'll see the return of Ezekiel after a while. Look, here's what I hope for Randy. Number one, I hope everything went well with the surgery, and I hope his quality of life is good. If he has a desire to get back in the ring, the man can do whatever he wants. He's Randy freaking Orton. But if I'm advising him, I would do a Brock Lesnar schedule. Do 4 to 6 big matches a year. We still see you. You can still write the end of your chapters. But, this full-time, not that he wasn't quite full-time. He was like Undertaker used to be before Undertaker started doing 1 match a year. Kind of, SummerSlam to Mania, take a few months, and then do it all again. So that's what I'm hoping is that Orton, is able to get, if he can come back full-time, obviously that's wonderful. But at the very least, maybe a Brock Lesnar or Edge type schedule where you can still kind of write the last few chapters of your career at your own pace and your own time. And there's big matches you could do. And frankly, that would really, in some ways, kind of freshen up the pops for Orton. He would be, again, beloved like Edge or sometimes Lesnar. So, obviously, best wishes go out to him. We'll see. We've made a lot of progress. I know fusion is always a scary word, but we've made a lot of progress. So let's hope that Randy Orton can come back soon and be given RKOs for years to come. Years.
To be honest, it's a part of it is probably that damn RKO.
Yep, landing
how many extra back bumps has he taken over the years just delivering the RKO? And it's not like I'm not disparaging Diamond Dallas Page, but Randy gets up in the air way more than DDT did when he was doing the diamond cutter.
Yep.
Well, that and like the DDT that he does, the DDT that he does.
Oh, the hanging DDT.
Yeah, like that can't. Yeah, like for your back. That can't be very good. I mean, he snaps that because he snaps that thing real tight.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's bump card gets full. It's just so weird because Orton had just talked about a few months ago wanting to like go longer than Taker. Like he had talked about that and wanted that.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, boy, you got a long way to go and you got to fight through a lot. I didn't mean that in a sense of I wanted him to have to fight through a lot, but it's so weird how we go from that and now in a period of a couple months. I would be very shocked if Randy Orton doesn't wrestle again. But the fact that we have no idea in terms of what his schedule won't look like for a while, it's just weird how we go from I want to pass Taker to, and he still could pass Taker if he wants to be as foolish as the Undertaker is and was. If you want to be that damn dumb, by all means, I'll take it for entertainment, sir. But it's sad that that just goes to show you never know. Speaking of another guys whose future's up in the air, Dustin Rhodes is considering retirement when his AEW contract is up. He said he's got a little less than a year on his contract, and he needs 2 knee replacements. He needs a double. And he said, Father Time's catching up. McCarthy, you put the AEW in awesome when you jumbled around a little bit there. What are your thoughts on Dustin Rhodes' comments as far as his future goes?
I think it's smart. I mean, you can't wrestle forever, and I think even though he's had some great matches in AEW since he came, I think the better place for Dustin Rhodes right now is in the back in a training, coaching, producer type role. I mean, when they have women like Britt Baker and Toni Storm and talking about how much Dustin has helped them, they need to keep that going. And I think it's just smart. Maybe focus on that. You got your double knee surgeries that you need to get done. Just call it a day. You can still work there. It's not a problem, but your in-ring career is over. And that's as hard as that is for pro wrestlers. It's not the end of the world if you can impart your knowledge on the younger generation. Because let's face it, like FTR and everybody that loved Dustin Rhodes that was in NXT when Dusty was running it, right? They love him for that, not for what he did in the ring. Of course, you love Dusty for what he did and what he's able to do for, Plummer's son and looking the way he did to make it to where he did eventually, even though he was booking a lot of it. But I think that they have the relationship with him because of how he trained them. Adam Cole was Shawn and Triple H. I think Dustin is more valuable as that, as opposed to an in-ring competitor at this stage in his career.
Just to read you a quote, he was asked about when his retirement might be coming. On Talk is Jericho, I believe. What wasn't it? Have you heard that episode yet, Mr. McCarthy?
Was it like last week?
I think so, yeah.
I haven't listened to last week's episodes yet. I've had so much time off.
He said, that's a tough question, man. It's in my blood. He said, I look at Ric Flair in his supposed last match, and I don't want to do that. As long as I can get out of the business and still walk, because I do need a couple of knee replacements, but that's fine. I'll get the knee replacements. I'll be fine. I'll be able to walk around, but I just remember getting in the business and seeing a couple of the old-timers on walkers and wheelchairs, and I'm like, I don't want to get to that point. But we throw our bodies around, and eventually something's going to happen. So if I can get out of the business where I can still kind of semi-enjoy work and at least enjoy the rest of my life, that's fine. But I love the business, so I want to be connected to it in some way. Yeah, it's that same old thing that all these guys go through. It's tough to know when it's time. I respect what he's saying there. It wouldn't surprise me if Dustin Rhodes continues to wrestle after his contract is up, because this business gets a hold of you, and it's a damn drug. I mean, technically, we all know that from a different side. One of the greatest highs I know is when we're doing, we'll do New Ohio Wrestling this weekend, but ASWA here in a few weeks, and it's a rush, brother. It's a rush. So we'll see what happens with Dustin Rhodes and his future. Hope he can write the last chapter as he wants. Ricky Steamboat won his return match. We do want to just touch on that for a second. Always cool to see. We'll see if that ends up being the case. The mystery partner, by the way, was former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis. So, and Triple H not closing the door on traditional Survivor Series matches returning. He even talked about, he's not closing the door on the brand supremacy thing. He said he's not closing the door on anything. He said this year he just thought it was time to freshen it up. I want to get your comments on that, and then we'll touch on some hot spots of Raw real fast. What say you, Hot Wheels? Do you want to see the traditional 5-on-5 come back? Do you want to see brand supremacy return down the line at some point, or do you want more war games yearly at Survivor Series?
I think it could be. I would, if you could do it every other year. I think that would be entertaining. I do want to see the traditional come back though, because there's just something about those eliminations, and maybe it's a 5-on-1, maybe it's a 2-on-1, maybe it's 1-on-1. The last two survivors, like there was so much intrigue about those Survivor Series matches, and some of the greatest moments have been those matches. I think back honestly staying, debuting at Survivor Series, and intrigue behind all that, many good moments. So many good moments with those. It's hard not to want to see them. It's hard not to want to see them still be a thing. I'm glad he said what he said. I'm glad he's not closing the door on everything. Like you and I kind of discussed before. He mentioned that he just wanted to freshen things up. He just wanted to freshen things up. By all intents and purposes, I get the impression that this year, whenever he took over from SummerSlam, his entire job has been and should be back. Get the viewers back. What little things can I do? What things can I give back? Things can I give back to the fans? They've been asking for bringing them back. Because like you said, they have and had one of the largest audiences viewing of the entire world. It's no secret they lost. They lost something. They had to find ways, and I think this was a very smart and genius way to try to get eyes on the product. To try to get eyes on the product and try to get eyes back on the product by bringing up that. And putting an even bigger spotlight. Does it need to be at Survivor Series? I wouldn't mind just seeing it be like what we're probably going to see Hell in a Cell become now that that pay-per-view is off the books. A match that pops up every so often when it's needed, when the story fits. I think that's the way you do it. And if you want to bring it back to Survivor Series at some point, by all means, go ahead. But I think for right now, it was a good one-off. Bring back the traditional next year. Where we go from there, and they can make their plans after that. They can make their plans after that. I agree with
that. McCarthy, any thoughts on that?
I think if you pull out War Games, I think you use it at Survivor Series going forward. I think it fits the motif of Survivor Series. I also agree with Travis. You cannot do it every year at Survivor Series. You can't, because we're going to get sick of it, just like we got sick of Hell in a Cell, just like we got sick of Elimination Chamber, just like we got sick of TLC. You start building an event around a stipulation, and we get tired of it after a while. And honestly, I won't make one argument for TLC. I have not been too sick of TLC. Only because there's so many different variations of that match that you can make that I think have made it still somewhat interesting. I just don't like the pay-per-view being built around TLC matches. It's better when it's like one time a year. It might be on the same show, or because then if you don't have a dedicated TLC show, you can do a TLC in June and then do a women's one in October, and it won't feel like forced or seeing it too many times. I mean, yes, the most variation of all of those matches is the TLC, but I think having it shoehorned into a premium live event hurts it because now you're building around that instead of your feuds.
Well, one of the things that Triple H alluded to in the Survivor Series press conference was he didn't say Vince's name, but he said they kind of creatively were having trouble coming up with, how do you in storyline book an elimination chamber match? How do you book that regularly? How do you book this? How do you book that? So it became a thing where, again, he didn't say his name, but he implied that Vince pretty much said, well, we'll just do these yearly events, because he said it became hard to set up those, I'm going to challenge you and 5 other guys in an elimination chamber match. That he said that comes off kind of awkward. And so he said that's where a lot of these kind of came from, in terms of they were having trouble. How do you set this up to, why would this person challenge this person to that? That's, if you haven't seen the press conference before, Triple H's portion is interesting to go back and look at.
Well, and I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to book that match if you save it. So you can have Survivor Series can come back to the way it was quite easily, actually. So we had War Games this year, traditional next year. You can have an Elimination Chamber the year after that, because it fits Survivor Series. Those multi-man matches in Survivor Series go hand in hand, and you can keep the stipulations rotating out. You can throw in brand supremacy, like I've said, as long as there is something for the winners. It can't just be Raw's better than SmackDown. It's got to be something prominent in the Royal Rumble, or everybody gets a title shot. All 5 members, which means 5 weeks of title shots. However they decide to do it, but they need to make it matter. It can't just be, my brand won.
Well, and take this World Cup for instance. Take this World Cup for instance. 2-3 years ago? 2-3 years ago? Yay, they got a trophy. Hooray! Yay, they got a trophy. Hooray! And then nothing. And then nothing. This time around, they get an intercontinental something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated.
I think that based on what we hear, I think Vince got to the point where sometimes he was trying to reinvent the wheel because he got tired of doing. Yeah. I think sometimes he wanted to so badly do something different, and it ended up being he can't come up with that idea that he wants, so it's just fuck it, we'll do it. Very simple. So I don't know that, but it just seems like sometimes Vince would probably stifle himself by trying to do too much. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I think a lot of times these last few years, I think Vince wanted to and couldn't, so you get frustrated by that. I don't know that at all, but I'm just speculating. All right, we got to get out of here. So what do you want to touch on Monday Night Raw before we do?
Seth Rollins' outfit. That shit was ridiculous.
Oh, God.
What was he thinking? Did he go into Becky's closet? Is that what just happened?
He did. Yes. He does it every week.
Almost certainly.
If I was her, I'm ticked off because he keeps stealing all her good clothes.
Well, yeah, and especially because he's more muscular and taller than Becky, so she can never wear those clothes again. They're all stretched out and ruined.
Yeah.
Damn it. I'm mad for Becky.
Bastard.
Clothes aren't cheap, damn it. Come on, Seth. Jeez.
I will say. I thought Theory held his own in that segment.
I thought he did too.
As hard as it is to go against Seth, I got nervous when they had him come out and they started cutting promos against each other. Theory held his own, and a lot better than I think he did whenever they had Kevin Owens come out against him in promo wise. Because you saw it. Kevin Owens took that entire segment over from start to finish. This case, not so much. I think Theory definitely stepped up and held his own on this one.
I agree with you. Anything else you guys want to touch on Raw before we get out of here?
Becky Lynch can do whatever she wants, and the fans will react accordingly.
And also
phrasing.
How dare Bailey disrespect Bob like that?
That was
what the heck? What the heck?
Yeah.
I know. Jesus.
Like she's a heel.
I know. Oh my God.
It's like she's a heel.
Oh my God.
Can't believe it.
And that I guess we got to touch on that 8-person tag, man. That match was legit. And we said it at the beginning, man. Without that match, I don't think they could have pulled off that first hour. With how they did the no contest and the 8-man tag, no commercials. I don't think they could have planned that any better.
Yeah. They asked veterans and arguably legends of this business to go, hey, can you carry this for a little while? And they did just fine.
Yep. No, not a problem at all. There were no letdowns. You didn't really want to look away. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to stall for 10 minutes. They went out there and busted their ass.
They asked the stars of this business, like I said, arguably legends in their own right, certainly in New Japan, all of them, and said, hey, could you go ahead and carry this thing for a little while because we're going to go commercial free? And they all said, yep, hold my beverage, because, I mean, it was fantastically paced. It was, to me, it was a clinic in what to do in that type of match.
I agree, and let's be honest here. I think Survivor Series and Raw, the bookends were perfect. I mean, Survivor Series, you had the 2 War Games matches bookending your show. Yeah, no brainer, you would think, but that's not always the decisions that was made. And I think the match last night that led to the 8-man tag was bookended by a fantastic match between Kevin Owens and Jey Uso.
Completely agree. The biggest thing, compliment I give Triple H so far in his time is not necessarily his creative decisions. I know we disagree on that, but he's created, especially for Raw, better pacing for the show. It's structured better.
Dynamite could have used that on Wednesday.
Yep.
Because they didn't have a good bookend.
We disagree on his creative decisions some, but I won't deny that ever since he's taken over Raw, the way it's structured and flows is a much more comfortable watch.
I'm curious on two things. What do we do with Dexter Lumis now?
I'm still holding out hope for an Indy Hartwell reunion. Not gonna lie to you.
So am I.
There's a lot you could do. You could reunite a version of the Way without Austin Theory. You don't have to have him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's the only thing that I could think of so far that I would do with him. I wouldn't really have him go for any titles. Right now.
You would have him and Bray have a freak off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And then the other thought I had was. I saw something that Io Sky is possibly. That hurt? So does that hurt the damage control situation with Becky?
Yeah, to me, damage control, I've never been a fan of it, period, but I really am not liking it right now. I'm over it. What do you say, McCarthy?
I still dig it. I mean, I'm not that sick of it. I liked it from the beginning. Has it been 100% all the time? No, not really. But you know what? The core thing is right now, Bayley's really good at getting you to hate her. And Dakota Kai and Io Sky are not developed enough to truly make this stable work. They're not. We love Dakota Kai. We love Io Sky from their days in NXT. But what are they now? We know what Bayley is. She's a pro wrestling Karen. We know. We don't know what Dakota Kai is. We don't know what Io Sky is. We're not getting any background, which makes it so much harder for the people that didn't like it at the beginning or got sick of it after a couple of weeks to really latch on to this group and care. Because I don't. Like the tag titles don't matter. Do I think overall the presentation is right and can it work in the long run? Yes. But we need some more out of Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And those titles need to matter that they're carrying, because what's it matter?
Well, because it's the opposite of the bloodline, right? Like my opposition to the bloodline aside, there's reasons to care about everybody in the bloodline separately.
Yeah. The only one that doesn't talk is Sokoa, and that'll change.
So
I'm still waiting for him to do the whole.
You're gonna have to do that again. You were out of camera.
They tried to get him.
Yep.
He doesn't do the one. He doesn't do the one.
That's because he's gonna do this. I know you guys can't see me, but I believe his dad was Umaga.
I think so.
So he's going to end up doing the throat punch gesture when Sami Zayn convinces him to join up with him and Kevin Owens to take out the bloodline. All facilitated by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Nailed it.
I'm kind of mad at Kevin Owens for what I saw on last night. They were so close to breaking Sokoa. And then he comes out. Kevin, Kevin, we were so close.
That's probably the sitting out at that point.
Yeah,
like he's about to break. Go. So, on that note, since we got to mention the worst Samoan I've ever seen in my life, talking about Dwayne.
Oh.
Awful individual. Just miserable to look
He's
at.
the worst.
He is in my book.
I can think of one worse.
I can think of a couple worse. Let's just be honest. I mean, are we holding this to just professional wrestling or overall? Because I mean, professional wrestling, it might be hard. No, wait, because it's The Rock. It won't be hard. But anyway, there's a bigger pool.
I'm not touching that. Nope. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here, boys?
I want to know who his ones in professional wrestling are now. Besides The Rock. Besides The Rock.
We're just going to leave that out, probably.
Probably not.
Yep.
Okay.
Any final words, McCarthy?
Nah, man, I'm looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be legit. Hopefully Ryan can help us because, Travis has got to make money. It's fine. It's cool. I get it. Totally get it.
Have you asked Ryan to help us?
I asked him last week, and he said probably if Ohio State doesn't win. So we got that going for us. But we'll see. I might be doing roaming, and Jason might be directing, and we're going to call it a day. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Jason can push buttons, so I guess we'll find out.
Well, be sure to watch the Buckeye Bro Show this Thursday around 7:30 on Score Network. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure.
Don't forget to take your tissues, Travis.
McCarthy, I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah.
Napper, you're staying home to watch the conference championship games. Well, you'll be watching them at work anyway.
Yeah.
You'll be keeping me updated.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. With that, I hope to be back in studio next week. But as always, it's a pleasure. Hope you enjoy watching and listening to this on all your podcast platforms. And until next week, be well. And hey, let's enjoy these holidays coming up. We're going to do a couple more episodes this year. And then we're going to take a bit of a breather right before the Royal Rumble. Looking forward to that break, aren't you, boys?
Oh, yeah. Always.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, we'll see you next week in the ring. Ding, ding.